There are 4 main story maps on Ark Survival Evolved: The Island, Scorched Earth, Aberration, and Extinction. I have been sent here to conquer each of these maps by defeating all of the guardians that protect their domains. That leaves me with a grand total of 10 bosses I have to kill in this video, all of which have their own unique challenges that I have to approach differently. To make my life easier, I'll be transferring the same character I have to the map that comes after the current one I'm playing on, so after the island, my character will be on Scorched Earth, and so on. Finally, the last condition would be that I am allowed to transfer 2 creatures of my choice to one map, that being Scorched Earth. So after Scorched Earth, there are no more creature transfers in this video. I am aware that Genesis Part 1 and 2 exist, but I am not able to do them in this video because of their missions. Before we begin, this video is sponsored by Ping Players. More on them later. But without any further ado, let's get right into the video. My first destination would be on the island, everybody's favorite starter map. After I made my character, I named myself Filippo and spawned in South Zone 1. Now that we've seen the best intro cutscene in all of gaming, we can get started by gathering every single rock and piece of wood in the area. Since I have the build of a celestial gigachat, I destroyed a log with my bare hands and learnt the hatchet, spear, and full cloth armor. I wouldn't forget my goat, the stone pick, though. With the stone pickaxe, I can gather thatch at extremely increased rates and get flint. I used that flint to make myself a hatchet and torch. I still had some fiber left over, so I used it to create some of the latest fashion. I then proceeded to invest in even more spears that would be used to help me wipe out the dodo population. Now that I've recreated what happened in the late 17th century for some quick hide, I was able to make some extra clothes. With me reaching maximum drip level, I can now go and roam freely without the worry of being cold. As we know, this is not going to be an easy challenge by any means, but it could be a lot easier if I was to spam explorer notes all day for their XP multipliers. However, I won't do that. I'm aware as to how overpowered they are, and I feel as though if I spam them all on the first day, it'll ruin the point of a lot of things in this video, even if I'm using the same survivor for the rest of the challenge. I do acknowledge the fact that I will be using them a pretty fair amount on my creatures in the next few days, and that I will be over level 90 by day 10, but I still just don't want to do it all by day 1. Moving on, I made up some bolas and a wooden shield. As I made it up this hill, I found a level 75 Iguanodon that would be really good because if I can level up its movement speed paired with its unlimited running stamina, I would have the best ground mount possible. With that in mind, I learned the entire hide armor set because I'm gonna need better protection. Since I've been passively farming a bunch of hide whenever I had the chance, I was able to suit up immediately. The Iguanodon even killed this raptor over here that I was able to harvest for even more hide. These Meganuras that were trying to eat it before me would end up the exact same way. I then learned the refining forge, smithy, and metal tools. With that out of the way, I made up 3 clubs that I would use to help knock out the Iguanodon. I would prefer doing this with trank arrows, but for some reason I didn't think that I would need them. I was able to get a pretty decent amount of torpidity into the Iguanodon before it broke free from the bullet and tried to kill me. Thankfully, I was able to just run around in circles and not let it hit me because these things are really weird with their AI. After some time, it tried to escape me, but it can't outrun my wrath. With just one more bola, we were able to club it all the way until it was knocked out. Yes! The sun was starting to go down, so I decided to go over to my favorite explorer note location and see if I can get a little bit of XP. I know what I just said about not farming explorer notes too much, but I need to be level 30 for the Iguanodon saddle, and I'm trying to get it ASAP. This is when I remembered that nights on Ark Survival Evolved are dark. Anyway, after some time I was able to find the nearest dossier that gave me a quadruple XP bonus that went into my health and weight. The Iguanodon is almost tamed with the berries that I left in its inventory, so we're gonna have to run back over to it on day 2. Here we are on day 2 and the Iguanodon is fully tamed. My plan is to give this Iguanodon around 2 explorer notes so that it can become an absolute speed demon with unlimited stamina. And no Dillos would be stopping me throughout that. While I was harvesting it, I accidentally hit this Triceratops, so me and my Iguanodon had to fight back. Hell yeah, dude, thank you. Killing that trike gave me enough XP to get to level 30, so I was able to make the Iguanodon saddle. Now that this thing is saddled, we have our first ever mount in this challenge. After a while of running, I was able to find my first explorer note that would go into the Iguanodon. All of those points went into the movement speed, just like I said. Oh, and don't worry, I put on a Dino Santa hat skin onto him too, just so it has a little bit of authenticity. I can already feel the speed difference. Oh yeah. Where were we? There we go. God damn. Someone tells me that'll be enough. Oh my god. I regret this. Guys, this might have been a little bit too overpowered. Oh my god. It turns out that this thing is extremely overpowered, and I feel very guilty when I'm using this, but I'm still gonna keep doing it. I need to fuel my lust to get more resources, so I set out to the nearest crystal mountain to go and get enough for a spyglass. Some jungle traversing later, I managed to make it to the top of the hill where I found some crystal and metal, but I'll be back for the metal at a different date. Anyway, I was able to craft the spyglass and then set out on my iguanodon once again to go and explore the island. This is the moment where I realized that I have to make several bases throughout this entire challenge since I have to be on multiple maps. But at times I feel like I'm not gonna try as hard to make one. I will certainly do my best to make my first base on the island pretty cool. When I found this lake, I decided that this is where I want to build my first base on the island, and the second one would likely be on some tree platforms. So I started to gather as much wood, thatch, and fiber as I could so I can make a pretty simple house. This place is abundant with Therazinos, so I want to tame some for the boss fight because when paired with veggie cakes, they can regenerate a portion of their health, and it's really good. I know I'm not the only one who struggled to set up an ARK server before. The values in the settings don't translate into the game. Why does my Theory have 1.5 million health? It's laggy, and sometimes it doesn't even work at all. But that changes now with the sponsor of today's video, Pingplayers. Pingplayers has been my new best friend for server hosting, offering lag-free servers that you can set up in less than 60 seconds, with intuitive and friendly customer support 24/7. Not only are the servers quick and simple to set up, it even includes game switching, which means that you can try multiple games on the same server, so there's no need to cancel and rebuy. They have a very wide arsenal of games, such as DayZ, Project Zomboid, Counter-Strike, and many more. However, the absolute best part of their platform is the advanced built-in AI assistant that helps you configure your server to your liking. It's quick, simple, and takes little to no effort to pull off. Just type what settings you want to change or what mods you want to add, and it'll take care of everything in a few seconds with just that simple command. So if high stability servers with unlimited mod slots are your thing, click the link in the description or pinned comment and use code Filippo35 for 35% off on your first server. Once again, thank you to Pingplayers for sponsoring this video. But for veggie cakes and the overall kibble that we need to tame the Theries, we're gonna need vegetables, so this house is going to double as a farm. On day 3, I'm focusing on finishing up this house. I decided to make a sloped roof for it this time because I thought it would look pretty cool. With the roof finished, I made up some stairs so I can get into the base easier and a campfire. I then left the base to go and kill some nearby raptors for their hide. It almost went really badly when I started to attack this pack and didn't realize how good their buff is. It's pretty silly how much damage pack buffs can do, but at least I was able to take them out without losing my iguanodon. I'm really glad that I did kill them because one of them gave me a metal pickaxe from their inventories. I'm pushing my luck out here though, so I'm gonna definitely have to take my iguanodon back to base to heal a bit. Once I made it back, I started farming all of the resources that I would need for 2 refining forges so I can smelt some metal. Fortunately, I already know every single metal location on the island because I've played this map way too much. So it's time to put that knowledge to use and go and get some of that metal. I'm gonna need a lot of it if I want to craft a bunch of boss army saddles in the next few days, so I'm gonna have to be speedrunning as much metal as I can. I was able to get just over 2 stacks of raw metal, which is about 600, and this would do just fine for the time being. I managed to get some free narcotics from this green drop, which would be kind of beneficial because I do hate crafting them. When I was right next to base, I looted this blue drop, which gave me an apprentice simple pistol blueprint. This Therizino was getting dangerously close to my base, so I had to dispatch it with my iguanodon, or else I would probably lose everything. It was a pretty close fight, but we managed to kill it. Anyway, we can now lock in on smelting all of this metal. I decided that it's probably going to be a necessary thing for me to get some storage in the base, so I made a storage box. Since the metal ingots are taken care of, all I have to do is get some wood and stone for the smithy. With the smithy crafted, we can bring all of the stuff from the storage box into there and craft any tools that we will need. On day 4, we have smelted a pretty solid amount of metal that I want to turn into a crossbow. With a new ranged weapon like a crossbow, we'll be able to knock out creatures with ease, but we're gonna need to craft narcotics and a mortar and pestle before we can do that. Now that we've gotten the mortar, we can make as many narcotics as we can, just as long as we get some spoiled meat, because I've been lacking it. While I was crafting every narcotic that I could, I learned every engram I could as well. Now that we've gotten some trank arrows, I want to go and find a big creature that can lay extra large eggs, because I'm gonna need them if I want to make kibble for the Therazinos. However, I would soon realize that I'm making a crucial mistake with the creature that I did decide to tame. You'll see soon. As of right now, I'm on day 11, and I'm not gonna lie, since I got the wrong kibble type, I'm probably just gonna tame the Therizino with some berries. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer to tame it, but I think I'd rather do that over taming 2 more Rexes. Anyway, I am currently on the search for some Spinos to lay eggs. I wasn't exactly lucky on day 4 because I was searching in Rex spawn locations, since I knew those lay extra large eggs, but I was just assuming that Spinos do too because, you know, that makes sense, they're bigger than Rexes. But no, this game's just a little silly. Doing some extra nighttime roaming, I wanted to make myself a raft, but then I got sidetracked by this Pteranodon that was a level 130. So it's safe to say that my priorities quickly shifted. Now I definitely want to go and get some extra hide, not for the raft, but so I can saddle up the Pteranodon immediately. It started off pretty easy by me just wiping out the nearby raptors, but this soon turned into a nightmare. It wasn't just as simple as regular raptors getting revenge on me, but also RGs, scorpions, and a Sarco. Everything was annihilating me slowly but surely, but I just decided to run around and make it so that they can hit me, but I can hit them. I somehow made it to 15 HP on my Iguanodon, so don't even ask me how I survived this one. I knew I couldn't kill the RG with my Iguanodon now, so I had to shoot it down with my crossbow. On day 5, I'm still shooting down everything I can with the crossbow. Screw you. I was able to get a good amount of hide from the RG, which means that I can make the Pteranodon saddle. I had to kill some nearby scorpions too, though, because I needed the chitin. Now it's time to go and finish up the tame. Hell yeah. Flappy lives on. Now we have to take Flappy all the way back to base and secure our second tame in this challenge. Now that we're back home, we finally have our first flyer that can get us from point A to B in no time. Since Pteranodon's stamina really sucks, I had to go and get some quick explorer notes so I can get its stamina up to 1000. At this point, I realize I've already seen a Spino earlier in my playthrough, and if it's a female, that'd be the best course of action to tame it. And would you look at that, it's a level 70 female. Looks like we're gonna be knocking this thing out. Sorry, really abrupt stop, but I just didn't have enough trank arrows to completely knock it out, so I returned to base to go and craft some, and on the way back, I noticed this. Now that we've found a good level Therizina, we have a purpose in taming this guy, so I guess we better continue. Stop it, get out! Jesus Christ, no, I'm trying to corral it away. What is it doing? Is it even Topo running anymore? Jesus Christ. No, stop. Why are you going into the Megalodons? Oh my gosh, I just kill it. I'm done with this, I'm done. Day 6, and the Spino decided that it didn't want to live with us anymore. But that's okay, because I didn't even want it anyway. Moving on from my sorrows, I started crafting more trank arrows because I need another Spino. I really did think that the Spino eggs would count as extra large, but I guess not because ARK is really stupid. I really just feel like getting a Rex would be a lot easier since Spinos are really fast and Rexes are super slow, so I would have no issue knocking out a Rex over a Spino. Shortly after, I found a level 80 female Spino that I thought would do just fine, but as I was returning to go and get a little bit more trank arrows, I noticed this. Oh, there's another one. Level 10. Holy shit, wait. We're taming the level 10. To be efficient on trank arrows, I decided to tame the level 10 female, and then I can get the level 50 male right after without having to go back to base for more tranks. As expected, it knocked out pretty quickly. Yes, yes. Fortunately, the Spino wouldn't take too long to tame because of how low the level it is. All we have to do now is just wait up in the sky until it eats the final piece of raw prime meat. Hell yeah. Now that it's tamed, we gotta bring it back to base, and then we can come back for the male. The only eventful thing that happened was when a raptor tried to attack my Spino, it got absolutely bodied. On day 7, we're arriving back to base while slaughtering everything in the way. I decided that next time, I'm gonna knock out the male Spino on the back of my Iguanodon, since I can run around and I think it would be more convenient for me. For now, I was able to get the Spino right back to base. Once I got my bearings straight, I set out on my Iguanodon back over to the level 50. Now that we've made it, let's make it quick, yeah? Oh my god, I just shoot a Meganura. How did I even shoot a Meganura? Oh. Nice. What level is this monkey? Level 20 monkey. He liked the berry. Aside from going absolutely insane, I managed to knock out the Spino, and now I'm taming up a big monkey. Taming this monkey while waiting for the Spino is going to be a very fun pastime because there's nothing really stressful that's going to go on. For the first time in my entire ARK career, I found a terror bird egg, and you can't tell me you've seen one of these before because you're a liar. While you're at it, comment down below what your favorite egg design in ARK is. I'd love to hear from you guys, but moreover, I want to boost my algorithm. Anyway, let's wait for the monkey or Spino to be tamed. Really? Monkey! Oh, I forgot you could test that. You good, Iguanodon? Oh, they can hold it. That's cool. Wait, what if I just like... Oh my god. With both of my tames secured, all we have to do now is nonchalantly run back to base. Why are you attacking the Iguanodon? No! No, 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 no! You bastards! You little bastards! You killed my iguanodon! You couldn't even defend. You couldn't even fight back. When do you get out of here? Jesus. Kill it. Well, that's one way to start off the day. That's probably the scariest start to any day I've ever had throughout these challenges. Arriving back to base, I have a herd of Triceratops protecting me, which is going to be a nice little nature bonus. But above all, we have a mating pair of Spinos, which means that we can get those eggs that I've been so needing. Too bad they're absolutely useless. After that was done, I decided to go out into the swamp and search for a Dimetrodon for their air conditioning capabilities, but I guess I didn't account for the fact that I'm not going to be needing them because I'm not hatching these eggs. Moving on, I was able to get a metal hatchet from this Titanoboa that I killed, which is a nice little upgrade for free. I found this Rex as well, which would have been a cool upgrade from the Spinos, but no, I know so much better than taming those things, right? Moving on, I found this Rhiniothnatha that I decided I would try to kill for its pheromone, but again, it's only a chance that I get it. Oh, land on its corpse. Yes! Okay, wait. Flappy, you need to move here. Flappy? Oh! Where'd Flappy go? That's why you keep some resources on you, man. 700 million IQ dispensed later, I was back on Flappy. To be perfectly honest, I don't even know if I'm gonna be taming a Rhinio in this playthrough, but it would be cool to have the pheromone. I wasn't fortunate enough to find myself a Dimetrodon on the far island swamp, but maybe I can get one at a later date. While flying back, I noticed this Giga, but it wouldn't really be much of a use to me since I am prioritizing getting a Carcaro instead. I also slapped on these glasses onto my Pteranodon so that it looks very nerdy. But that's about it for day 8. On day 9, we arrive back to base where we can deposit all of the hide that we got from our journey. Then I decided to go and do one of the most questionable decisions I've done yet and go and tame a Dimetrodon. Yes, you heard that right. Tame a Dimetrodon for the Spino eggs that I won't need to be incubating. I don't know what was going through my mind, but I can assure you that the Dimetrodon was very helpful later on, but I just didn't need it right now. Nonetheless, my last 2 brain cells that are actively fighting for 3rd place are still going to be in charge of me taming this thing. When I found the first Dimetrodon I saw, it was glitched into the ground, which I've never seen before, but thankfully I was able to get it unstuck. Then this happened. I got knocked out by a snake bite, but thankfully Flappy was able to take it out before any real damage was done to me. Wait, what are those footsteps coming in? No! You're not gonna do this to me! Oh lord, we're gonna die to a Dimetrodon. Oh my Pego. Get up! I'm telling you, if I died to a Dimetrodon, I would never live it down. Moving on, it was a pretty easy knockout tame considering how slow the Dimetrodon is, but I was interrupted by this Sarco here. Fortunately, nobody struggles with killing these guys. Now the last thing that we have to do is gather up a little bit of prime meat so that we can tame up the Dimetrodon. While waiting, I decided to knock out this Dimorphodon because ever since my Pegomastix died about 5 minutes ago, I've been very lonely. In the background, the Dimetrodon finished taming, which means I have a portable air conditioner, but now the thing is that I'm not really going to be using it for a while, although it will be extremely useful as time goes on. And don't worry, I got the Dimorphodon tamed as well. Once the Dimetrodon was ready, it's time to take it back to base, but it's so slow that I had to walk with my Pteranodon, and I can't really do much about it because I have no Cryopause or an RG to pick it up. Closing in over to base, I noticed this Mosschops that wanted a Mayho Berry, so I tamed it immediately. Getting a Mosschops is really good because they can help me get a lot of fiber quickly. While I was getting ready to breed my Spinos, I noticed that Trike Herd from earlier is getting absolutely demolished by an Alpha Raptor, so I have to go and kill this immediately or else it's gonna wipe out a lot of things at my base. So I instantly took out my Pteranodon to see if I can take this thing out with my insane flying skills. The Raptor was rather difficult to hit, but then I figured out an insane method to hit it at just the right pace for it to be knocked back and not be able to hit me. We just have to get like this rhythm. Flappy, this is life or death. Come on, man. We were able to take it down, but I didn't get any crazy loot like I was hoping for. Arriving back to base, I made myself a bed so that I can respawn. I can't believe I didn't have one until now, but I guess it's better late than never, right? The last thing that I did in the day was make a cooking pot so I can make more advanced recipes. On day 10, I'm out getting a lot of resources for more crop plots that I need. Alongside that, I'm out getting water skins because I need to be able to water the crop plots. Once they were crafted, I set out on my monkey to gather as many seeds as I could for citronal because I have very important uses for them. Jokes aside, I'm going to be using the citronal to craft myself focal chili for the kibble. I should mention that in the background, my Spinos have been breeding, producing me a solid amount of fertilized eggs. If you can't tell, I've also been placing more crop plots around to maximize my citronal yield. They were producing a really good amount of lemons, and I just wanted to make sure that they stay preserved for longer, so I made myself a preserving bin. Now that it was placed down and I don't have to worry about my lemons spoiling for a little bit, I set out to go and find that 140 Therizino to make sure that it's still there. I was delighted to see that it's still alive and killing some Troodons in the area, which everyone here can respect. On day 11, I found out that my Spinos are absolutely worthless for the kibble. After giving up on them, I crafted narcotics and fixed up my old crossbow. I was planning to go and tame the 140 Therizino right now, because if I can get a creature like that this early, it would be absolutely game-changing, alongside the fact that I can have a head start on my boss breeding. A few in-game hours of searching later, I still wasn't able to find the Theri, and I was getting really concerned because I had just logged back in after a few days. It's really sad to say, but in the time that I was logged out, the Therizino decided that it didn't want to be part of this world anymore, so it despawned. So it looks like I have to get a substitute Therizino to tame because obviously the 140 is no longer with us. Fortunately, I was able to find another Therizino, but it just wasn't a good enough level, so we're gonna have to retreat. Why are there so many Dillos here? Like, seriously, there's no reason. Oh, Jesus Christ. Not the Theri from earlier. Alright, we're out of I hit the trike. We have no stamina, but if I don't move, we should get it back. Where's my stamina? Why is it not coming back? Okay, it's over. Flappy? Oh my god. Flappy, just passively. Flappy, passively. Jesus Christ. It's over. I wasn't fully ready to give up on this Theri, even if it killed Flappy, so I'm gonna try and tame it. It's a level 115, so it's pretty much the bare minimum, and it would be a nice starter. I would be tranking this guy off of the back of my monkey, which is arguably not the greatest thing to do considering how silly this looks and the fact that I'm probably gonna run out of stamina. But nonetheless, we are pretty fast and we can outrun it. While I was tranking the Therizino, this tech raptor decided to raid my base and kill my moss chops, but we were able to destroy it shortly after. This definitely is not the most efficient way to knock out a Therizino because my Gigantopithecus runs like a crackhead and keeps running out of stamina. The thing is, knocking out a Therizino is already annoying enough with how high its torpidity is and its drain, so imagine how much worse it is when I'm riding on a monkey. After some time, the Theri decided to start running, which is a good sign because that means its torpidity is getting high enough to where I can knock it out. It was looking good, but then the Sarco came up on me and took out a chunk of my health, which means that I gotta start running or else the monkey's gonna die and I'm gonna follow shortly after. I managed to get on top of these rocks here and I was safe from the raptors and Sarcos, but this Dimorphodon was still chasing me down. Fortunately, I was able to kill it before it got any extra damage on me, but this Sarco was still being very persistent and hitting me. After I regained all of my stamina, I was able to run away with my monkey back over to my base where I would be safe, so I decided to put the monkey in the house so that it doesn't get hit. Then an actual horror movie happened. After I woke up from my Troodon poisoning on day 12, I realized that the Theri is still not close to being knocked out because of how much time I wasted. So I'm gonna craft a bunch more trank arrows and try and go again. I emphasize try. I guess the Filippo plot armor is real. Well, the one thing that I know right now is that I'm not going to be able to tame this Theri, and I don't really want to lead it back to base, so I'm going to run away in hopes of finding a new one and making a new base for a little bit. I'm trying to build over by the South 1 jungle because I feel like this is the best place for Theri spawns on the island. I would need to regather some resources like hide by killing this poor little Lystrosaurus though. I will be back to the original base pretty shortly though, so don't worry. But for now, all of my efforts are going into making this one. My monkey can gather all of the narco berries I'm going to need while I can get the wood and thatch. I then made myself a mortar and pestle because it's going to be extremely important here. Once I placed it down in the base, it's going to be the only one that I have, but it will be making me a ton of narcotics that I'm going to be putting towards trank arrows for the Theris. Quite frankly, I'm not very happy with a level 115, and I know I can do better. I didn't exactly put a lot of thought into this base, so that's why it looks like this. Anyway, I made up some storage boxes. Once the roof was finished, I decided to make a special double door so that my monkey can get inside of the house, so I don't have to leave him outside. He doesn't deserve that. I made sure to make a bed too, just in case something goes wrong. I proceeded to start crafting some narcotics for trank arrows, but I needed more narco berries, so I set out to go and get some. Damn. That looks like wow, my outlook at the base was not good. Anyway, I started crafting some more stone arrows. Once they were done, I converted them to the trank ones. On day 13, we're still roaming about and looking for anything that could be good. Oh my god! Since I found an amazing level theory, I decided to make myself a bow just in case the crossbow breaks in the middle of this tranking. I don't think it will, and this entire montage should be pretty uneventful. Oh wait, never mind. I bet you the bow is gonna be good enough though. Ow. So I'm in a pretty bad predicament right now. My Gigantopithecus is out of stamina, and I have pretty much no health. How did I even survive that? Well, now I'm naked with absolutely nothing, so I'm gonna try and get myself a new tame, such as a Pteranodon, to get back to my original base. The only positive thing is that I can outrun this Sarco chasing me.
I'm feeling romantical.
ARK really just told me I can't even have my shoes because that was too much, I guess. So I've got to repair my armor, and the only way to do that is by killing the nearby dodos. Now that that's done, my priority is to get a Pteranodon. Since my original Flappy died, I haven't had a flyer, so it's a really good idea to try and get one of these guys again. If I'm gonna be really honest, I don't exactly care about the level, so I would be very fine taming this level 80 right here. Once it landed, I bowled it and introduced it to my trank arrows. This Dilophosaur was unfortunate enough to be in the vicinity of my Pteranodon after I knocked it out. Moving up the beach, I noticed some Hesperornis, so I made myself a club in hopes of getting their organic polymer for a ghillie suit. Ghillie would help prevent creatures from spotting me easily, which is a great help right about now. So this club would help me get all of the organic polymer I need. Fortunately enough for me, I was able to get just enough to make the entire suit. Once it was crafted, I put it on, and I must say I'm looking pretty good. I wanted to get some prime meat for the Pteranodon so that it can tame up faster, so I started to shoot at this gigantic parrotser. Now this thing would give me more than enough prime that I need to tame the Pteranodon, but I still decided to go for it. That was easy. Now we can go and tame up the Pteranodon, but I will be missing some stuff for the saddle. On day 14, I'm worrying about trying to get a Pteranodon saddle because I can't really use this thing if I don't have one. So we need some keratin from the nearby Triceratops. I didn't want my bird to die, so I left it on passive flee, but then when the trike was low enough, I sent it back into battle to get the final blow. The trike did not give me nearly enough, but I was able to find a trilobite that would do much better. Shortly after, I found a pego that wanted to be tamed, but if I'm being honest, I'm not really looking for friend applications. Anyway, I made up the Pteranodon saddle and put it on to the PT, so now I'm ready to go. Without the pego. Even if the PT's level is not the greatest, that is pretty inferior because of the fact that I have a good flyer now. After picking up some explorer notes, I noticed an alpha raptor that I wanted to kill for more XP. Fortunately for me, it was an extremely low level, so I was able to take it out. Now that my PT is a lot better, I set out over to the hills where I found this level 80 Tapahara that would be a good tame. When I get back to taming the Theory, the Tapahara is going to be a huge help. While flying, I found a fallen legend known as Monkey, who definitely served his purpose and will be greatly missed. I also went into the square house that I made because it had a bunch of narcotics and berries in it. With this new loot, I finally went back to my original base to go and input all of the narcotics and narco berries into my mortar. My Spino decided to get into an altercation with some piranhas, and while I was looking at that, some raptors tried to attack me. That didn't really go too well for them though. I've had to consistently keep moving my Spinos out of the lake recently because of how stupid their AI is, so I did a questionable play and spawned a cryopod in just to get them out without much struggle. Don't worry, I threw the pod away immediately and this is not going to be a theme. Anyway, I started getting some wood so that I can input it into my smithy to repair my crossbow. Then I started to beat up the nearby rocks in hopes of getting many stone arrows. Then I started flying back over to the Tapahara because I really need to tame this thing. Approaching its location, I realized that I actually cannot scare this thing or else it's gonna fly away and I won't be able to tame it for a little bit. Well, I fumbled that one, didn't I? I had to quickly gather some more hide for the bolas that I'm gonna need in hopes of taming this guy. I was able to get it into a bola, which means that now I have a very easy knockout. At least it would have been if this tech raptor didn't get involved, because it started hitting the Tapahara and my only course of action was to knock it out as well. The Tapahara was getting really low and saw this as an opportunity to run away, so I can't let that slide. This Tech Raptor was not very fortunate either. Fortunately, the Tapahara started to land immediately, which is something I've never seen before. So I got it bola'd and instantly headshotted it, which prompted me to knock it out. With it starving down, I noticed the theory below me that I really need to get back to taming soon. Until then, I'm gonna kill this Stegosaurus for its prime meat because my Tapahara deserves nothing but the best. I then proceeded to feed the big bird, but it wasn't quite enough to tame it until a few minutes later. Right now, the goal is to get this guy back to base, craft him a saddle, and then get back to the theory. This would take me a bit though, because the Tappy is considerably slower than my Pteranodon. On the way back, I found this moss chops that I decided to tame because I thought I lost my original one, but it turns out it was just in the forest on the top of my base. I would have known this if arksurvivalevolved had a creature tracker like on Ascended. Moving on, I was missing a bit of resources for the Tappy saddle, so I got over to gathering them with my moss chops. Once that was done, I was able to make the saddle. Once it was put on, it means that we not only have a variety of flyers now, but also that we have the best way to knock out the theory. Because what we're gonna do is put ourselves on the front passenger seat of the Tapahara, and then we will be able to shoot off of the back of it, which is going to be a huge help. Also, there is an Alpha Raptor closing in on my base. The Spino slapped him so hard he fell into the lake, and now I'm gonna finish him off with the Tappy to get some free levels. On day 16, I'm leaving with my Tappy to go over to the theory to finish the taming. I then proceeded to mount onto the front seat where I can then whistle it to wherever I want to go, and I can shoot from off of here. So as soon as I got over to the theory, I started my master plan of shooting tranks at it from above. As you can see, that didn't really age too well because I decided that it's probably a better idea to just shoot at it from above a cliff. Then on day 17, I actually completely lost the theory. At this point, it was already pummeled full of so many trank arrows that I guess it just knocked out running away from me, but I wasn't there to see it. But now I had a different problem because an Alpha Raptor was really close to the theory, so I had to take it out with the Tappy. The entire strategy was camping on the top of a rock, but it was good enough for the Alpha Raptor to die from. But now my next problem is going back to base for more narcotics since I didn't pack any with me, and theories tend to wake up pretty quickly. I also grabbed some of the vegetables. Since they're not going to be getting turned into kibble, I might as well feed them to the theory. Since the first moss chops was dead and the second one was forgotten, I tamed a third one so I can get more berries. So I took all my narco berries and veggies over to the theory in hopes of taming it. I had to make sure to slam down all of those narcotics down its throat just so it doesn't have to wake up. Upon feeding it the narco berries, it still wasn't even 70% tame because it wasn't starved down enough. But later in the evening, I returned to base to get some wood so I can get the saddle crafted. Although if I want to finish crafting it, I'm going to need some more metal, so I fired up my forges where I had a bunch of metal waiting. While it's smelting, I'm going to go over to the theory because it's almost done taming. On day 18, we're approaching it and it is pretty much tamed. Oh, would you look at that. Well, I'm glad that we got it this early. Now we just have to get a breeding partner for it. The stats are pretty solid, I think. I don't really tame theories very much, but they're absolutely going to be carrying the island playthrough. Now we've got to run it back to base, which is going to prove to be very annoying. I also had to take out some Brontos on the way there to test out this thing's power. I need you to harvest him too, dude. Upon arriving back to base, the first order of business is going to be crafting this saddle. Now that he's ready, we can take him out to go and gather hide and level up. And if I'm going to be honest, this is going to be one of the most broken creatures I've used in this playthrough.
So I was reading a comment the other day that said using the sea attack on a theory gives a lot of XP hide, so let's check. Oh my god! You legend! Okay, we found a female, by the way. It's a very low level. How much would killing a calico give me? Is this a good calico? Dude! Whoever that commenter was, I love you. Platonically. Jesus. Oh.
So it turns out that the Therizino is quite possibly the greatest hide gatherer in the entire game, and I never even knew about it. So not only did I have almost 20,000 hide by the end of this entire day, it also leveled up so much that it can one-shot a lot of creatures. I can't wait to get the army of these guys going really soon. But if I want to do that, I'm gonna need to get a female Theory, and this other 115 is not going to do. So I set out with my Pteranodon to find literally any level female Theory. This 25 should do just fine. The tranking process was pretty simple considering how low of a level it is, so I just shot it with my tranks and then ran away. It then proceeded to knock out further away from the excess torpidity just like the last one. On day 19, I am flying back to base so I can gather more berries to feed to the new Theory. I wasted no time doing just that and then hopping back onto the Pteranodon to go and feed it. After I arrived at its unconscious body, I gave it everything I had. Now that the Theory's torpidity is rising, we can go back to base and get on the Tappy to farm some crystal. The reason that I'm doing this is so I can get enough resources to make some cryopods. Fortunately, I already had everything that I needed on me, so I went over to the nearest supply drop and crafted 3. Now that that was done, I went back over to the Theory that was fully tamed and potted it up. I'm glad I got these guys so early in the playthrough, but at the same time we're probably going to be breeding them later in. I also realized that you can upgrade the delicate harvesting of Theories so that they gather more hide, and it's ridiculous.
Oh my god. That's disgusting, yeah.
With that discovery, I then proceeded to start gathering a bunch of narco berries for even more narcotics. You never know when you're gonna need a bunch of trank arrows. As soon as I got them all crafted, I started to snoop around the engrams because I haven't exactly been learning a lot recently. The next order of business is gonna be getting a wooden tree platform because that's what I'm gonna be building on for the rest of this playthrough. But if I wanna make one, I need some cementing paste from the nearby beaver dams. I had to go out pretty far to find some of these dams because they weren't spawning in their usual locations. But when I did find them, they had a pretty solid amount. On day 20, we are continuing the cementing paste grind. As time goes on, I will be building different kinds of bases and probably getting more lazy with them.
So, yeah. Hello, Mr. Rexy. How are you doing? Doing good? Thanks.
I then proceeded to fly back to base. I then decided that I'm not actually done crafting cryopods yet, so I set out to go and kill some Hesperornis for their organic polymer. You can never have enough cryopods, and honestly, that's why I'm going to be installing a Dino Ball mod later in this playthrough because I just couldn't with the cryo sickness anymore. Moving on, I took out my Tapahara to go and get an Argentavis tame for metal runs. Now that we've arrived at one of the more prominent Argentavis spawns, we have to find a suitable level above 100 to knock out. Luckily enough for me, I was able to effortlessly find a level 120. Since this guy is a flyer, they knock out much easier than any other creature. So with that in mind, it started to run away from its torpidity virtually instantly. I was able to hop onto the front of my Tapahara and shoot it down.
Nice. Oh. Okay.
While the Arg is taming, I'm gonna go get an Anki as well because paired with the Argy, these are the best gatherers in the game. So I soon started tranking this level 60, but also had to remove this level 5 from this planet Earth.
Sorry. Okay, now we can focus on this.
It was ultimately a pretty easy knockout that we're gonna have to pursue later because right now I'm prioritizing this Argy. 2 feeds of Prime later and the Argy was almost tamed, but then I turned around to see my Anki getting demolished by a scorpion. Just look at this disrespect, it didn't even eat it. But on the bright side, the Argy was done.
Yes. Nice. So, gotta put you away. And yeah, now we gotta go back to base.
On day 21, we are returning back to base from the mountain. You know, this Tappy isn't exactly very fast, but it could be a lot slower. I also found exactly where I wanted to place the tree platforms, in this area where there's so many beehives. But if I want to move there in the next few days, I'm gonna need a lot more metal. At this point, I didn't think that it was worth it to waste my time and try and tame another Anki when there are a lot of things that I still have to do. Anyway, I then started to gather fiber with the Theory until I was able to craft the saddle. Now that it's ready, we can uncryo the Argy and take it out to go and get some metal. Throughout this entire 100 days, this Argy would actually be extraordinarily important to my progression. But before I go and get the metal, I decided to level him up with some explorer notes. As soon as I had arrived at the nearby metal mountain, I picked up some honey that I saw and then got to gathering. In this moment, I thought I would be really wasting my time if I was going for an Anki since I wanted to start pursuing the artifacts soon, but I didn't exactly realize that that wouldn't have impacted me much. But I have to say that on the island, I did not once use an Anki. But on future maps, you will definitely see me using them. We managed to have a pretty successful metal run, all things considered, and we returned back to base. Now that we're back, we can start smelting everything that we got. But we'd require more wood, so my Theory just quickly hit a tree and got 600. Now the plan is, I'm gonna be breeding them for the first time. It's gonna be nothing insane, I'm just trying to get a small head start. Now the only things that I'm missing for the tree platforms is the metal, but that is smelting right now. I also realized that I have to get tree sap taps, which is gonna cost me. I proceeded to kill some Hesperornis for their organic polymer since I need more cryopods. I'm gonna need these because I'm trying to move all of my creatures to the top of a tree platform. I can't just walk them up there. But obviously my flyers are exempt to that. There was a lot of tech creatures around my base at this time, so I decided to kill them with my Theory in hopes of getting a bunch of scrap metal, which I did. While that was smelting at base, I went over to the obelisk and crafted as many pods as I could once again. When I got back home, I started to take out the metal that had smelted and put it right into the smithy. We were only missing 64 metal ingots until we were able to craft the tree platform, so I just had to wait. In the meantime, I went over to gather some stone and flint so that I could get spark powder. When I inputted it into my mortar and pestle, I crafted as much as I could, giving me just over 150. This spark powder would go towards a great investment known as the Fabricator, but I'm only going to get around to placing it when I make the tree platform. And speaking of platforms, this one is not going to compare to the platform base I had on Ragnarok. That was quite possibly the peak of my engineering on ARK. Right now I'm farming up every single crafting station once again so that I'm ready for my new base. As soon as I was done getting virtually every single resource I would need for multiple refining forges, I called it a day. Okay. On day 22, the start would be just about the same. Once I was done gathering resources, I came home to an absolute shocker.
That's not very good. You were a mistake.
Moving on, we have to keep thinking about how we're gonna move all of our stuff, especially this ridiculous amount of hide. Like, what am I even supposed to do with all of that? At least when it comes time to crafting the saddles, we'll be able to get them effortlessly. The metal in the base was starting to smelt up super nicely, which is a good start. So the only thing I'm missing for the tree platform is gonna be the wood. As expected, I was able to get everything I needed with just 2 hits from the theory. And just like that, we got enough resources to craft the entire tree platform. I'm now going to spend my time transferring everything into the Argentavis so that I can set up base immediately, including these fertilized Spino eggs, which would actually be very important later. My goal now is to cryopod every single creature that is a non-flyer, because obviously they can't get up to the tree platform without this. It looks like now that we've gotten everything done, we are good to go. The move to the new base is going to be a little bit annoying considering how heavy everything is, but I am willing to pay that price. Sometime later, we arrived at the optimal base location for this tree platform, and I placed it down, so now all we have to do is get my crafting stations. Fortunately, I have 5 refining forges, which is really going to speed up the metal production later. Speaking of that, we already have a pretty solid amount from other runs, so I'm gonna fill up my forges now and see how much we can smelt. There's not gonna be any crazy additions to this base from now until I beat the island, but it is going to serve me very, very nicely. We will have to expand to other tree platforms as time goes on, because quite frankly, we do not have enough space for every single Spino now, and we absolutely will not when we have to breed Theries. Speaking of breeding Theries, that's what we are currently doing. We're just getting a little bit of a head start. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'm crafting the tree sap taps that I'm gonna need to get, well, sap. On day 23, we're continuing more of the same of the breeding. Once they were done, I started to make myself a generator. Once the generator itself was crafted, I had to make myself some wires and outlets because I hate the evolved building system. Once the generator was placed down, I'm gonna be using it to help light up my base. Not with the 9, but rather with these. I shortly realized that my male Theory needs to really improve on his game. Fortunately, one of the babies was a female with both of the good stats, so we can stop using the low level. It's just a matter of keeping these guys safe now. I'm gonna be honest, it took me a little bit to find the optimal breeding settings for these guys because I didn't know how to change my Game.INI since I thought ARK broke again. But these settings should be just fine, I hope. The next order of business would be making a ladder from the bottom of my tree platform just in case I fall off, which is gonna happen a lot. Since I couldn't just attach the ladder to the side of my platform like you should be able to, I had to build a contraption of sorts to make it from. Now, it's not the prettiest, but it does work very efficiently and will save my life. This is where I made the bold decision to throw my old Theory and Spinos off of the platform since they're taking up way too much space that I need. In this time, I'm going to be trying to imprint all of my Theories that I do have just so I can see if the settings are correct. They were not. So I had to reset them and see if they were going to work now. It would take me until the next batch of them though, because these ones are fully grown. Fortunately, all I have to do is hatch them. That's just a ladder to the abyss. At least now we know not to go down there during nighttime. My brain went smooth on day 24 as I completely forgot to record a large portion of the morning. But that's okay because the only things that happened was I figured out my breeding settings and got some extra Theories.
Oh, I definitely just left all that hide at base, remember? I need to see if it's still there. I don't think it is, though.
Unsurprisingly, I did not find my hide, so I have to return home empty-handed. I'm sure I'm gonna get it back at some point, right? For now, I want to focus on breeding the Theories, because if I can get a head start on this army, it's gonna be insane, although I will still have to do a dedicated breeding session in the future. I managed to figure out the imprinting settings too.
Yeah, look at that, 100%.
Alongside that, we have so many eggs right now, so all we have to do is hatch them and we're pretty much gonna be ready. I also had to get around to naming my Theories by numbering them. After that was done, I started to get all of the resources that I need for more crop plots because right now farming is extremely necessary. So when I got back to base, I made as many crop plots as I could and placed them down. I then made some canteens for the first time because I need more water storage. I had to get back to naming my Theories too because I am getting an overwhelming amount of them really soon. I had to take my Tapahara and a cryopotted Theory down to the beach so I could try and get some veggie seeds. It's pretty obvious we can't farm without them. On day 25, we got all of the seeds that we need, and we're going back to base to plant them. I had to put the berries to good use too, so I put them in the feeding trough. It turns out one of my theories is very mutated, so I'm gonna try and give this one extra care. My crops are growing very nicely, but I still feel like I could be using more fertilizer. So I set out on my Tapahara to go and look for a Phiomia. I found one of the level of 15, and quite frankly, that was more than good enough for me. These guys don't take a lot to tame up either, which is nice.
I think, no. Oh, never mind.
I then gave it a very mature name and started speeding back to base. I didn't ignore these beaver dams though, because you never know when you're gonna need some ending paste. On the way back, I noticed this level 90 baryonyx, and I might have to tame that later. As soon as I got back to base, I had to get right back into the theories. I started gathering with a low level because I need a lot of stim berries for what I'm about to do. Once I got the berries, I climbed back up to base and gave them to my Phiomia.
Not about to enjoy what I'm gonna give you. Thanks, man. That's more than I needed. Like, what do I even do with this? Thank you for doing your job, Poopy.
Well, now all of my plants are completely fertilized. Let's move on from that traumatic experience and get back into imprinting on the theories. The thing is, I've already gathered enough theory eggs to where I can hatch the entire army, and that is exactly what I'm going to be doing later. For now though, my tree platform is getting really overcrowded with theories, so I'm going to move them into a storage box. I proceeded to do a thing.
Okay, well, this is probably gonna lag a little bit. I hope not, at least. Oh, it's actually spaced out. Jesus Christ. There you go, 19. I don't know what we're gonna do with that one. Oh, I hate that. That's really scary. These are all killing machines. Oh, that's a really cool one. You know what? What's this? You're gonna be the new boss theory 16. This boss theory 16 is insignificant.
On day 26, I'm locked in on getting a bunch of honey for veggie cakes since my theories are not gonna do good in the boss fights without them.
Ugh. Oh my god. We're not doing good.
Turns out getting honey hurts. Now the next thing I'm doing is getting a fridge crafted since I need somewhere to store all of this honey. I proceeded to throw all of the honey into the fridge at once and then make a cooking pot so that I can make the veggie cakes. I don't think I should have left my moss chops down there. My moss chops dying reminded me that I'm gonna die a lot in this challenge, so I made a bed so that I can respawn. Great timing of that bed placement. I was able to quickly retrieve my stuff and realize that I'm no good at parkour. Apparently, I'm also not great at imprinting theories because there are way too many for me right now. I'll be able to deal with them shortly, but for now, I'm gonna keep collecting the sap for my taps. Not only that, I'm gonna go get some stimulants. Now that we've gotten those, we can start crafting myself some veggie cakes. With them being made in the background, I have to focus on getting all of these guys imprints, which is actually quite difficult considering that they all want something else. Fortunately, I can re-roll these with a cryopod. After imprinting on most of them, I had to put some fiber into the cooking pot because I didn't do it before and I wasn't making any cakes. I proceeded to swiftly fall off of my base. Now I'm trying to get another tree platform, so I have to gather a bunch of wood with my theory. Now, I already had every other resource, so the craft was pretty easy. I decided to place it right next to my tree platform, but I couldn't get it on the same level, which was really annoying, although it was good enough. Now, I have to move them all there on day 27. Here we are on day 27, moving every theory over to the new platform. It was pretty easy considering that my theories are elevated on my original platform, they just drop down. Now, the plan is that I'm going to be getting every single theory here and then eventually healing them with a Daedon. Once they were all moved, I had to start crafting some veggie cakes in the cooking pot. We had more than enough honey to make a solid amount of cakes, but it's still not going to be enough, and we're going to be doing more in the future. For now though, I'm going to set out with my Pteranodon to go out of the base. I did find this Quetzal, which was pretty cool, but right now I'm going to be aiming to tame this Baryonyx over here since it's a great caving creature and I want to start as soon as possible.
We'll figure it out. Oh shit. Oh, my mouse lagged. I lagged so hard. That would have been such a skill issue if I died that quickly. No! No! I hate everything. Wait, we're good, we're good. Why can't I not access yet? Yo, passive, flee, Flappy. Passive flee, you idiots! Bruh. How do we get this shit back? Where did this guy even come from? There you go. That wasn't even the name, Flappy, actually. Bruh. God damn it. Oh my dear God. And I left him on passive flee. And I left him on goddamn passive flee. Okay. Absolutely lovely. 10 out of 10 game. Would recommend.
I wonder why all of my friends who start ARK for the first time don't want to keep playing it. I made the bold decision and said that I'm going to be taking none of that, so I took my theory out to go ahead and kill everything on the way to the Baryonyx and the Baryonyx itself. I quickly whistled my Argentavas back to me before I sent them into battle to kill the Baryonyx.
Everything over there, I need you to just violate. Yep, nice. I wanted to tame it, but then I'm like, nah.
The theory can hold its own ground, so I decided that this is going to be my new caving creature for everything. The thing is, I am going to start my caving journey right now because I really cannot be wasting any more time doing unproductive things. You might be asking yourself, how many caves are there on the island? Well, there's 10, and I have to get all of the artifacts from them. Oh wait, there's only 9 here. Here's the artifact of the cunning. Now that we've corrected that, it's time to do the artifact of the hunter. This is widely disputed as the easiest artifact cave on the entire island. The creatures inside the cave are pretty dangerous, consisting of arthropleura, because if they spit on you, all of your armor is going to break. There's also a bunch of spiders and scorpions in here, but that's nothing I can't deal with. I tried to milk this cave as much as I could, but if I'm being honest, this entire thing took me less than 2 minutes to run through. Whenever I'm playing on the island, this is always the first artifact cave that I do. With the first of 10 artifacts secured, we have to leave the cave and venture on into the next. So as soon as I left the cave, I got my RG out and cryopoded my theory. Now, I tried to find this next one through complete muscle memory instead of looking it up, because I thought I had it, but it turns out I was actually on the opposite side of the map to where I needed to be. You can only imagine my disappointment after I cryopoded my RG and looked around with my theory to absolutely no avail. On day 28, I managed to find it on the other side of the map. This artifact is the artifact of the pack, which is also a fairly easy cave, but there are a lot of creatures in here that you have to deal with. Oh. All it took was some brute force, and I was able to annihilate every single creature in the cave, which means that we can now retrieve the artifact with no struggle. We're not done yet though, because I'm going to be going over to the Volcano Cave. This cave houses the artifact of the Clever, which again is a pretty easy cave. Immediately upon arriving, I cryopoded my RG and took out my theory to absolutely violate everything inside. The only dangerous things in here were a bit of scorpions and spiders, but it's nothing that I can't deal with. The theory is absolutely insane for all of these caves, and I can't wait to see what it can achieve in the hard snow cave. If we're being honest, it's just gonna kill everything, but again, the creatures in there hit really hard. Before we make it to that cave, we have to get past this one, so I collected the artifact. Now it's time to get out of here and back on the RG over to the 4th cave. This is going to be the Carno Island cave, which houses the artifact of the Devourer. If I'm being honest, this is probably the hardest cave out of the 3 that I've done before this. The reason I'm saying that is because of how cold it is in here. I was dying so fast that I had to retreat and make myself some hide armor and sleeping bags just so that I don't die to the cold immediately. Once they were done crafting, I started to place them down and equip my hide armor, in which I then started running into the cave. There was a small swimming section that I had to go through before I got into the actual cave, but once I was there, I threw out my theory and started to kill everything. I noticed this red drop I wanted to go for, but then this happened.
Oh no. Oh joy. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
I'm very glad that I brought the sleeping bags. Also, did you notice that I didn't even die to the fall damage? I was so low that the spider bit me. As soon as I was finished the swimming section, I jumped down onto my theory, where I started fighting everything, but ultimately got rabies. I was pretty much a dead man walking, but decided to jump down and get my stuff anyway. It didn't go well.
Oh, fight, fight, fight. That's all that matters. He's gonna kill everything.
Oh well, I guess we've got it this time, right? I didn't hesitate to instantly jump down as soon as I got back into the cave in hopes of landing on my theory, which I didn't, but that's okay because my insane amount of health made me tank it. Moving on, I was able to get the artifact. That's 4 down in just a short span of time, but the annoying ones are yet to come. For now though, I'm gonna go back to base and not leave until I'm fully healed. Overall, the Therizino is absolutely carrying me right now, and I'm glad I didn't tame the Baryonyx in comparison. At least the view going back home is going to be exquisite. Just look at that sunset. While I was approaching my base, I noticed this yellow drop with a ring that I definitely needed to loot. You know, the weird thing is that on the island, I barely looted any supply crates at all, but that will change on further maps.
God damn it. Well, we're about to die. Because I'm one shot now. And yeah. I was about to say I'm on 0 HP, and then the other Trudon came out of nowhere.
On the bright side, we were really close to base, so all I'm gonna do now is craft myself a parachute and glide back. A short uneventful flight over, and I got all of my stuff back. This Carno had a problem with me, but I just slapped it into oblivion.
You know what? I'll take it.
All things considered, that loot is not bad. On day 29, we've arrived back to base with all of my artifacts. I decided to take a short break by throwing out all of my theories on the new platform. For context, I still had a few left in cryopods. I then dumped all of my artifacts into a big storage bin. At this point, I'm starting to invest a bit more into grappling hooks because they would be a huge help in all of the caves. I would need some fiber for that, so I got just a little bit. I proceeded to climb back up my base and craft every grappling hook I'm gonna need. With the hooks, we can now access caves much more easily, and we're gonna go ahead and go to the next one. This cave contains the artifact of the Massive, which is arguably the worst of the easy ones. I'm saying that because of the fact that there is a ton of lava in here that will pretty much instantly kill you if you fall in. I managed to find this level 95 Ichthyosaurus that I feel like is going to be a good play to tame right now because of the underwater caves that I'm going to be doing soon. I slapped on some raw prime meat into my last item slot and swam out into the ocean to tame this thing.
Oh my god, it's beautiful.
This dolphin is going to help me so much on my progression through this map in terms of the caves. Aside from my RG tweaking at the entrance, I was able to get in without any problems and place my sleeping bags. Once that was done, I started to run into the cave and threw out my theory to absolutely annihilate every single thing inside. The thing is though, that none of the creatures inside of the cave actually aggro onto my theory, so I didn't have to have any combat that was unnecessary. The only combat I would have is when a creature gets angry at me when I'm dismounted off of my theory. I made sure to instantly throw him out whenever needed though.
Yep.
Aside from deep frying some scorpions, I was able to get past every single dangerous creature and jump my way over to the artifact.
Lava cave done. Whew. Yeah, that's another stupid thing that it does where it jumps, but it doesn't let you jump. Like you click space, but it don't jump, bro.
Now that we've gotten half of the artifacts on the island collected, I gotta run out of here and not die. I was supposed to run out on foot, but I realized that's probably not gonna happen, so I just took out my theory and started murdering everything. If I'm gonna be very honest, I've definitely had much worse runs in this lava cave, or just lava caves in general. As expected, the grappling hooks were amazing in this cave since I could jump over any crevices. The only annoying thing is when I accidentally hit a bat, a bunch of them would get upset at me. I didn't have to worry about that for too long because I was able to get out of the cave with zero complications. Back on my RG, I decided to fly closer to the beach to farm up some resources for the Ichthyosaurus saddle, since I'm obviously going to need that if I want to do the water caves. Once it was crafted, I decided to fly closer to the snow since I needed a bunch of pelt to craft some fur armor because not only are the caves really cold, but I'm gonna need them for the snow caves and also just general living. It didn't take me long to find a pack of direwolves attacking a pack of mammoths, so I swooped in for a third party. I got some solid pelt from doing that, but I knew that there was much better to come when I found this Utyrannus, and if you don't know, Utis don't even drop hide, they are just fully pelt. So as soon as I killed it, I knew I already had more than enough to craft everything that I'm gonna need. So with that, we can now return back to base and craft the fur armor. On day 30, we have flown up to my tree platform and we are ready to start crafting. We were able to make every single piece except for one, so that means that I have to go and get some metal. Fortunately for me, there was a metal mountain right next to my base, so I didn't have to travel very far. I found a lot of saber-tooths while I was here, so it was a bit of an inconvenience, but nothing that I couldn't deal with. If I'm being honest, some kitty cats got a worse death than others. Once I got all of the metal and saber-tooth blood, I started heading back over to the base where I would then smelt all of it. I would still need some wood to fire up the forges, so I got to doing that. I should start taming Therazinos more in my playthroughs because these guys are amazing gatherers and combaters. I then made the weird decision to start tweaking off of some mushrooms since I didn't have any food on me. Moving on, I threw all of my artifacts into a large storage bin. The metal has been smelting extremely well for me, so I have enough to make the entire set. Moving on from that, I started to make some cementing paste because I have some very American investments that I have to make. I was missing some cementing paste and organic polymer, so I set out with my Argentavis to go and kill some Hesperornis and find some dams. It was pretty easy to take them all out considering that they're just ducks. There were some really annoying piranhas here and there, but fortunately I'm just better than them, so I was able to kill them. I then go back to harvesting the organic polymer. I tried to get some cementing paste from the dams, but this Sarco was kinda blocking me, so I had to kill it. The funny thing is, I had an easier time killing the big-ass crocodile than killing the beavers around here. Once they were gone, I flew back to base with a huge haul of cementing paste. I had a pretty solid amount of metal awaiting me at base, which means that I can now craft my fabricated pistol. This guy is going to be really helpful for me when I'm going to be spamming little creatures in the caves. Before I can shoot it, however, I'm going to need to craft myself some gunpowder, so I got to it. Another thing is I'm consistently out of food, which is really weird, so I just decided to eat some of the Theri eggs. Once my stomach was full, I proceeded to keep crafting the gunpowder. The reason I'm able to make this much is because my forges have been on for so long that I have a ton of charcoal. When it was ready, I wasted no time in crafting the advanced bullets. If you're wondering how effective it is very effective. Day 31 started with a home invasion.
Who are you? You do not have permission to be here. Get out. Rude ass neighbors.
After I was done invoking my Second Amendment right, I continued crafting bullets so I could keep doing that. As soon as they were done crafting, I hopped onto my RG and started flying over to the Crawl Cave, which contains the artifact of the Skylord. This cave is kind of easy, but at the same time, there are some death drops that can immediately kill you. As usual, I made myself some sleeping bags before I headed in. Whenever I'm doing a somewhat risky cave, I like to make myself sleeping bags just in case. Once they were placed down, I took my pistol out and started to venture into the cave. Now, there were a few bats here and there, but it was nothing that I couldn't deal with considering how much I can spam them. Did you know that there's a lot of spiders in this cave? Well, now you do, and they caught me very off guard.
Oh my fuck. Oh my god, that actually made me jump.
Not only did I get rabies, but I also lost a few years off of my lifespan with that insane jump scare.
Oh, I hated that. Stop it. This is not a horror game. Jesus Christ. That scared me so hard I locked in and fired.
Okay, like, come on, Ark, give me a little bit of a break with the jump scares. Moving on, I gunned down every single bat in the cave and started moving closer towards the artifact.
And that's an easy artifact of the Skylord.
As I was killing a few more bats, this happened.
Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. I can't be bothered with this. I'm gonna die. Because they gave me goddamn rabies when I was already low. Glitched out of the floor, and it destroyed both my sleeping bags, so... I don't know if we're gonna make it. I don't think we're gonna make it, boys. Wait, we are. We're gonna make it. Brother.
Well, that was just a series of unfortunate events, wasn't it? This is why I'm glad I still have the Tapahara so I can get back and get my stuff. It's really stupid that I couldn't place down that sleeping bag because of one little obstruction on the ice. Moving on, I was able to retrieve my stuff, cryopod my Tappy, and exert revenge on the Onyx. As I was flying back, I made sure to grab this Explorer note for that little bit of XP for the RG. I flew back to base without any further complications, and all I want to do now is craft myself a scuba set. The reason that I want to do this is because I have to do those underwater caves soon, and I already have the Ichthyosaur for them, so I might as well. The cave that we're going to be doing next contains the artifact of the Brute, which is fairly easy, but at the same time, everything can go wrong here. Let's just hope it doesn't. I threw out my Ichthyosaur, named her Iggy, and now all we have to do is find the entrance. This should be pretty easy.
Insane play right there. Ridiculous. 700. Fuck you. Not today. Oh my god. Get out of here. We're fine. So we are freezing. That's pretty obvious. We're probably gonna die, but thankfully we have this sleeping bag that I didn't get to place down earlier.
So there are some positives to this. Even though my Ichthyosaur died, I can still somewhat get out of here. I do have to take care of this Electrophorus though, because they are faster than me and will definitely kill me.
160 Electrophorus, that's insane.
I am really deep underwater right now, but with this sleeping bag, I can respawn and get to max health, so I can kind of get out of here. Assuming that I actually managed to swim out without any creature. Once it was placed down, all I have to do is find myself something that can help me respawn. So I found some glitch saber-tooth salmon and kept punching them until I would eventually die.
And...
Once I respawned, I got my stuff back, and now we have to swim out of here. This is very possible to do, but the only things that could be deteriorating my ability to get out of here are things like this level 180 Alpha Megalodon. It looked like it was glitched though, so I decided to take this opportunity and swim away. It never came after me, and I was able to get out of the cave. This just turned into a Subnautica 100 Days really quickly. Maybe next time we should bring a backup ichthyosaur just in case. Arriving at shore, I was so joyous to finally be on the back of my RG again. Now the thing I want to do is get some more prime meat so that I can instantly tame another dolphin. When I found this Alpha Raptor, I knew that's exactly what I needed. There was also an Alpha Rex next to it, but I know I'm not going to be able to kill that. The Raptor itself was an extremely low level, so I didn't struggle at all with killing it. Once I got the prime meat, I set out back into the ocean to tame the nearest ichthyosaur. When I found this level 80, I knew that that was good enough. Moving back to shore, I got spotted by this Sarco, which definitely did not have the greatest intentions.
Like, can I catch any break in this stupid game? Oh wait, I have a gun.
Pretty weird thing to forget, right? On the bright side, we returned back to base and now have 7 of the 10 artifacts. I decided that the next cave I want to take down is the Swamp Cave. It has toxic air that you can't breathe in normally, so I'm gonna need a scuba suit if I want to survive. The best creature to bring into the cave is gonna have to be the Beelzebufo, so I set out towards the swamp in hopes of finding a good level. The first one I found just so happened to be a level 145, which is going to be excellent for me. I would need some bolas to actually tame this thing, but even then, I didn't know that this would still be really annoying. Namely because of these stupid capros. Now the thing with these guys is that they pounce on you and you can't do anything about it, but fortunately the first time I was able to get out of it.
Nice one.
I was getting so sidetracked I completely forgot what I was here for, so I got back to trying to tame this frog. Once it was bola'd, it couldn't really do much about it, so I continued tranking it.
What? Okay. There's no way. There's no way I'm about to die to a frog.
After I woke up, I was able to kill the capro that was attacking my tappy, but I had other problems.
I have leeches on me. Oh my god.
I just have to focus on taming this frog now, and nothing can get in my way. This time, however, I was actually able to knock it out, which is a nice plus.
What's happening? No, you're joking.
On day 33, after I realized that ARK hates me, I started to kill this Paraceritherium for its prime meat. I gave up on using the tappy, so I just started gunning it down with my pistol. It was going fine until its friend got mad at me, so now I have to deal with another one. I'm sure I got this, though.
I'm about to die to a...
We're doing great. I flew back on my RG, and now we have to destroy even more things around here, which is just so lovely. The Baryonyx is definitely not helping my sanity.
Oh my god, I didn't mean to.
Of course, this Parasaur got stuck in an unavoidable crossfire, and I got caproed again. My creatures were able to kill it this time, so we are doing better. Speaking of doing better, we were able to take down the Parasaur. We just have to take care of the Baryonyx now. Why is it whenever a Baryonyx is involved, it's always catastrophic? Moving on, we were able to get my stuff back and finish taming up the frog, which you probably forgot we were taming. It's just a matter of flying back to base now. Once we got back, we started to craft up the saddle. While harvesting the Hesperornis for its organic polymer, this trike got really mad at me, so I had to take it down too. I've been shooting this pistol so much recently that I've burned through over 500 bullets that I do need a recraft. Back at base, I managed to repair my scuba suit that was really broken after the water cave incident. We don't need to waste our time doing anything else, so I set out on my RG over to the swamp cave, ready to complete it. This is going to be the only time you ever see me do a cave on the back of a giant frog.
This is gonna suck. That's level 365 Aranio.
I'm pretty beat up after that one, but I'm gonna use the raw meat in my inventory to heal.
Oh shit, that's what these guys that's what I was worried about.
So all of my armor got broken, and now I'm dying to the toxic fumes in the cave. It looks like we're gonna have to go back to base to repair my scuba if we want to try that again. I have a bunch of raw prime meat as well that I need to use to help heal my bezel. When we got back to base, we repaired all of the armor and set out back over to the cave. This time we weren't dying to any fumes, and we were able to kill a bunch of the Mega Neura inside. I found a loot crate up here that I could jump to with my frog, and it contained some decent stuff that I wouldn't be able to loot quite yet because these Megalania were bothering me. The drop gave me a Mastercraft ghillie mask, which I'd say is pretty good. We were getting raided by a bunch of these spiders and snakes, but I could take them out with the range. The further in I went, I noticed more and more drops that I wanted to loot, but they were always covered in some sort of angry creature. Even though I was being sucked dry by a leech, I was able to go through the narrow chasm and find the artifact.
Yes. Yes. Slight complications. But we've done it.
On day 34, we arrived back to base with the new artifact. Now that we've got the artifact of the immune, we need to start focusing on the other ones that are to come. Specifically, the hard underwater cave, which is going to be absolute hell on earth, because I hate this cave. On the inside, there's a lot of Mosas, Alpha Mosas, Tusos, Alpha Tusos, Megalodons, Alpha Megalodons, Dunkleos, Piranhas, Cnidara, and Electrophorus. And I dare not say the name of the most dangerous creature in there, the Coelacanth. When we arrived at the shore of where the cave is located at, I got ready to throw out my Ichthyosaur. But not before I take down this Cnidara for its biotoxin, because it's very useful. Relatively soon, you will see me installing one of the mods I said I would get earlier. But before we do that, we're gonna kill this Megalodon with my dolphin just so we can get a bit more levels to pump into movement speed. When I got to the entrance of the cave, it was time to execute my master plan, which was to sprint past every single creature in the cave and get to the artifact without being hit. All things considered, this doesn't sound too difficult, right? The only issue is if I get hit by an eel or a jellyfish, I am instantly dead. I wasted no time going down into the artifact room and getting past every single creature. There it was, the artifact of the cunning. I got off of my dolphin and instantly grabbed it without any hesitation. Now we just have to get out of here.
Get out. I'm focused as fuck right now, I can't. Oh fuck, I took the wrong way. No wait, no I didn't. Oh fuck. That's okay. That Tuso almost picked me. Oh! Where the fuck do I go? Fuck me. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's fucking over.
Well, that went well, didn't it? I was able to spawn on the beach that my Tapahara was on, and as you can see, I panicked so hard that I went the actual wrong way out of the cave. I don't even know how I did that. So obviously we can't get my stuff back anymore, and no, I'm not going to cheat to get it back. However, I'm going to install a mod that I definitely should have had a long time ago. Disclaimer, this is the first of 2 mods that I have in this playthrough. The Death Recovery mod. Now this doesn't only help get my stuff back in this situation, but it's also going to be extraordinarily useful in other caves where my body gets glitched. So it's not just a mod that I'm installing for the purpose of right now, it's going to be something that helps me out throughout the entirety of the challenge. So I went back to base and got all of the resources that I needed to craft myself a gravestone. Once it was crafted, I put it right behind my bed. Well, just like that, we got all of our stuff back. That means that we have only one more artifact left to go. That one is going to be the artifact of the Strong, located in the hard snow cave. As you can imagine, it's very cold. We're going to be running this cave with the Theory because I have no other good caving creature that can do this. A part of me wants to do it with the Utyrannus because it can fear roar everything in the cave and it could just be a solid thing to use, but again, I'm just feeling like the Theory is the play. Without any further ado, I started flying over to the snow cave on the RG. When I arrived at the cave, I noticed the level 115 UD just above that I'm probably going to have to tame for the boss fights. I left my RG pretty deep in the cave so that nothing can jump it and started to run in. When I took the Theory out, I noticed some insane level polar bears that would definitely mess me up if I wasn't careful.
No, 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 no. I don't want to talk about it. Bro, the Theory's fucked. That's for sure. I don't know how I'm gonna get my stuff back. Wait.
Great timing of getting this mod. Now the thing is, I think I can get my Theory back, but that's only if it starts fighting back right now. Just in case I need to fight a little bit for myself, I started crafting myself some stone arrows. While they were crafting, I started flying back over to the snow cave. When I reached the cave on day 35, my main priority was to get my Theory out, because there's no way I can finish the cave without it.
I need to check if the Theory is still okay. That seems like a stupid question, but it's worth it to check. Wait, where is everything? On everything I haven't done a dino wipe. Where? Did you kill everything? There was no dino wipe I did, I swear.
When I arrived at the Theory, it turns out it killed absolutely everything, so this means that I can now keep progressing through the cave. We were getting occasionally messed up by the huge yetis and direwolves in the cave, but it's nothing that I couldn't deal with considering how powerful I am. I was getting closer and closer to the artifact, but the closer I got meant that there were more and more enemies. I would be lying if I said I didn't have a struggle with killing every single thing leading up to the artifact. At least this time I didn't get hit by the Perlovius because that would have ended really badly. Some combat later, and it's finally done.
Oh my god. Alright, we need to get out of here.
After a long wait, we have finally completed every single artifact on the island, meaning that we can start the bosses. It still will take me a second to get to the bosses since I need to make a bunch of veggie cakes for my theories. I'll get around to that shortly. The only thing I want to do right now is get back to base where I can put the artifact in storage.
We are back. And with that, we have pretty oh sh wait, no. I didn't mean to dismount.
Gotta love ARK. As soon as I got my stuff back, I decided that I don't want to have a reminder of this body.
Just thanks for the stuff. Every artifact is done.
With that, the only thing that I want to focus on right now is getting my theories leveled up. If these guys don't have levels, then they obviously can't be going into no boss fights. But we also can't be going into any boss fights if we don't have a Yudi, so I set out back over to the cave to tame the 115. This is going to quite possibly be the most aggravating taming process I've ever had on the island because of how many fear roars this guy can induce on me. For those of you who aren't familiar with ARK, when a Yudi roars at you, you lose control of your creature for 20 seconds, which is a lot. For other creatures, it might take 2 or 3 roars, but when you're on a bird like an RG, it's going to only take 1. I'm not saying he's a pussy, but I also am. On day 36, we arrived back to base because I was freezing so hard in my ghillie, but I got my fur on and started to fly back over to the Yudi, ready to get fear roared 20 more times. When I got there, it seemed pretty apparent that I wasn't actually going to be able to get into the snow because of how cold it was. So I did something I don't even have the stones to do at home and made myself a campfire to stay warm and make myself some food. I'll be waiting here until the sun comes up. What a loser. Now that some time has passed, we can go ahead and venture further into the snow where we can finalize the taming. I found the 115 after some time and it was once again getting into more trouble. I'm gonna have to do my best to help kill this mammoth before it gets the Yudi.
Nice, eat it.
With the mammoth out of the way, I can actually start tranking the Yudi now.
Not again.
Sorry, I meant to say now I can start tranking the Yudi because now I no longer have a fear roar.
Brother.
Well, I'm sure we've got it this time. I was able to shoot at it from a distance, which allowed me to get a solid amount of topor in. The best amount of shots I got into it was when it was swimming at me from across the river. Of course this went well.
Brother!
I'm sure we've got it this time, though.
I hate everything.
Now, I was getting a little bit tired from this, but it didn't mean that I was gonna stop anytime soon.
Oh my god!
Safe to say I got a little bit upset at that. It's okay, though, because now we can actually...
Oh my god! Why? What are you even doing?
Okay, we weren't able to get it right there, but now I'm sure that we've actually got it.
Oh my god! That was such a pain in the ass. Oh my god. Finally!
I've never once experienced more physical pain from a single Yudi. Moving on, all I have to do now is wait until it's starved down enough so that I can feed it. I also looted this yellow drop that had nothing of real importance in it. I decided to take some time out of my day to annihilate this alpha raptor for its raw prime meat. I was able to get such a good angle on it that I killed it without it laying a finger on me. Or I guess a claw. Killing that alpha raptor gave me more raw prime meat than I needed to tame the Yudi, but we're still gonna bring it all over anyway. On day 37, we are continuing to tame the Yudi. At least trying to. We had a Rex try and invade us and kill the Yudi, but that didn't really go too well for it. Also, I have barely seen any Rexes in this playthrough. It was getting pretty cold by the Yudi, so I had to return back over to the campfire that was still running. Sometime later, the Yudi starved down enough to eat the final piece of raw prime meat to get tamed. As soon as I arrived back to it, I cryopotted it and started heading back to base. But by back to base, I meant back over to the metal mountain that's next to my base, because I need a lot of metal for the Yudi saddle, not to mention silica pearls, which I'll get in a second. I also have this ramshackle metal pickaxe that I forgot to mention. Sometimes Alpharaptor loot is really useful. I then had to go and do something in real life, but I left OBS recording for 30 minutes on this single frame. Whoops. When I got back, I continued farming a good amount of metal. Now that I've had several stacks, I started returning back to base where I would then smelt this. As soon as I arrived back to base, I started smelting said metal, hopped onto my tappy, and went out to go and get a bunch of silica pearls. Without silica pearls, I can't make the Yudi saddle, and I'm also gonna need them for a bunch of electronic materials. When I got back to base, I put all of my pearls into the fabricator and smithy and realized the only thing I'm missing now is the metal. While I was waiting, I decided that I should do something about this hair and beard. Now, I've never taken barbering classes, but I somehow gave him the biggest glow up I've ever seen. Now that I'm shaved clean, I have to wait until it's all fully grown, which won't take too long, I hope. Now here's the big fish. I still haven't leveled up any of my fairies, and they require a bunch of veggie cakes, so I'm about to do all of that right now. This shouldn't take me more than a few days, I hope. I proceeded to take some valuable time out of my day to tame this Oviraptor because I thought it would have the same buffs as it does on Ascended. It did not.
I just went absolutely smooth brain, and I gave him pretty much every single level into health.
That's all we need.
I started off day 42 by going out to get more cryopods because I'm gonna need them if I want to transport my entire boss army to the obelisks in the next few days. So I took out my RG over to the volcano so that I could farm up some obsidian for the polymer. I wasn't just here for the obsidian though, because I needed a bunch of crystal as well. Once I had just over 500 total obsidian, I started heading back over to base, but then I noticed this.
Oh shit. That's not good. That's bad. That's bad. Oh, that's good. How much is a metal gateway? 170. We have like 270 at base. Let's get some metal. I kind of forgot that these guys are like so good in the tech cave. They fit inside and they can kill everything.
So I just found one of the most important tames I will have throughout this challenge, a 140 Carcaro. I can take this guy into the tech cave with me, and I might just be transferring them to Scorched Earth even if they're not native to the map. Moving on, I started farming up some oil at the glaciers because I needed a lot of it for the cryopods, and also just for general gasoline. When I was done oiling up, I headed back to base. When I got back, I started to throw all of my resources into the fabricator, where I then crafted myself a grill because I think it's about time. I wasn't quite done with everything yet because I still had to smelt all of that metal I got. So I got to it immediately. I used the oil that I got to make more gasoline for my fabricator and generator since they were both running pretty low. I then actually got all of the resources that I needed to craft myself the cryopods, so I headed out. I thought that at the volcano I could craft them just like you could at obelisks, but apparently not. I decided that this was fine though, so I headed over to the blue obelisk on the top of the snow mountain. Upon arriving, I started piling all of the resources that I needed for the cryopods into the terminal. It took me a while to make every single one, but that was about it for day 42. On day 43, I made the decision that I'm probably going to be installing the Soul Ball mod pretty soon because I'm going to have to deal with the cryo sickness. And yes, I know I can turn it off, but nonetheless, cryopods are still a lot worse than the Soul Balls. And if I tame one of the Daedons, I can use their special abilities to help heal my army. I wanted to single out one of the Daedons first, so I had to kill a bunch of its friends. I then made the weird decision to just wait a little bit before I actually go after the Daedons. When I arrived back to base, I noticed I was still missing a hefty amount of metal for the dinosaur gateways I need to tame the Karkaro, so I have to do another metal run. Throughout all of the bases I have on this challenge, I tried to strategically place them as close as I could to any metal location so that I didn't have to travel very far. It's just a matter of playing the waiting game now, since I have to smelt all of this stuff in my limited amount of forges. We won't have to wait too long though, because we are smelting pretty fast. In the meantime, I'm grabbing these fertilized Spino eggs I got way early in the playthrough from my useless Spinos that you probably haven't seen in a while. These eggs are going to completely carry me throughout the taming of the Karkaro. I told you they would have a use one day, remember? A sizable portion of my day was spent running around on my Yudi doing random things because I just genuinely like using these guys. And also, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do throughout the duration of the day with all the metal smelting. The last things that I did on day 43 was just force feed my Yudi as much raw meat as I could. The more health it has, the better. On day 44, we've gotten all of the metal that we need to craft every single dino gateway so we can tame the Karkaro. The only thing I'm missing right now are some babies. I will need some Spinos so that I can tame the Karkaro more efficiently, even though I could just use 2 nearby adult trikes. Not a very long while later, 3 beautiful baby Spinos were hatched, ready to be sacrificed. With all of the gateways and bear traps finally crafted, we can go ahead and complete the Karkaro taming. When I found it, it was fighting some Kentros I guess it had beef with, but it wasn't close to me, which is the best part, because if this thing was anywhere near me, I'd get ripped to shreds. Anyway, now that the trap is placed down, I have to lead it over to me. These bear traps are the only saving grace that I have, because if it misses the trap and then goes for my RG, it's gonna die. But I'm sure that that won't happen, so I started shooting at it to get its attention.
There you go, now he's gonna move a bit. Oh.
That would have been pretty unfortunate if I died to an RKO from a Karkaro. Now it's actually time to get this guy into the trap, whether or not my RG makes it.
Dear God. Okay, wait, hold on. Trap him. Yes.
I didn't want the Karkaro to somehow get free, so I wasted no time utilizing sacrifice. With the Spino in my hands, we have to feed it over to the Karkaro, and then we can mount on top of it to tame it. The bigger the creature means the more trust that you'll get with the Karkaro. Even though it's a baby, it is still technically a Spino, so that's why I was instantly able to mount. Now I have to kill everything that I can to gain more taming efficiency with each kill. It'd be preferable if I didn't lose any taming efficiency during this.
I just lost 7% of the taming effectiveness because I took a bunch of fall damage. Ah!
To anyone who doesn't play ARK, 7% might not sound like a lot, but I just lost what could have been a lot of extra melee points. Moving on, after some time, I was able to find a purple-looking Tech Rex that looked really nice, but moreover, it would serve as a great thing to tame the Karkaro with.
Yes. 170 melee.
I am tragically heartbroken. My new friend is still insane though, and with its stacking capabilities, it can do some insane damage. When I made it back to my trap, I had to demolish it for its resources because unlike on Ascended, you can't pick the stuff up after they've been placed down for more than 30 seconds. I've now cryopotted the Karkaro and have to make it back to base to make it the saddle. Fortunately for me, I already have every single resource that I need to make it, so I wasted no time. This should be pretty fun. With barely any levels inputted into the melee, it's already really insane. I left a bunch of Alpha Raptors on this beach for a really long time, so now that I'm finally getting around to killing them, it's really rewarding for the XP. Not to mention the loot. On day 45, I wanted to see just how more powerful my Karkaro can get against more powerful foes. But before I attacked it, I wanted to go and get an Explorer note. With how effortlessly my Karkaro mowed through that Alpha Rex, I have no doubts that it's not going to struggle in the Tech Cave. When I got back to base, I parked it on top of a log, and I was able to get onto my tree platform, which is pretty funny. I then went out of my way to make myself a trophy wall mount for the new Rex skull that I got. I didn't exactly have any great places to put it, so I just threw it onto where my ladder is. Now the thing is, I need to feed this Yudi a lot if I want it to heal up in time for the boss fight, so I slammed a bunch of raw meat down its throat, and with my Yudi fully healed, I want to cryopod all of my fairies so that I can take them over to the green obelisk. That's right, we're going to be doing our first boss fight, the Broodmother. Out of every single boss in this video, she is absolutely the easiest one, because she doesn't exactly have the strongest minions and takes extra damage. So don't worry arachnophobe, she's not going to be extremely powerful and haunt your nightmares, but I wonder what my fairies are dreaming of. On day 46, we're ready to do the boss fight. I had to go back to base to grab 3 of the artifacts that I would need to summon the Broodmother before I started. All we have to do now is wait until the fairies have woken up from their cryo sickness, then we can start.
3 hours later.
All of the fairies have now woken up, which means that we have no more excuses to not start this boss fight.
Wait, I'm wearing fur. I'm gonna burn up immediately.
Okay, we had one excuse, but now that we have the correct armor that we need, we can finally start the boss fight. For real this time. Let's not drone on, shall we?
Kill him. Kinda hard to see her. Look at all of these spiders, dude. It's off. Hell yeah. Well, the Broodmother has seen better days.
Wait, it's already over? I know the Broodmother is really weak, but she really did not put up a fight at all. We can only pray that the dragon dies as fast as the Broodmother did, but I'm not exactly hopeful of that. When we got back to the main island, I started cryopodding all of my fairies, and this is the point where I was starting to consider getting the Soul Ball mod, the final one of the challenge. There's not much else to do aside from doing more bosses, so I'm not gonna waste my time. When I got back to base, I put the Broodmother's head on my trophy rack, and I must say it looks good. I also placed down the flag for some cool aesthetic at base, and I can't wait until I have all of them. Then I went into my smithy and grabbed my fur armor, because it's finally time to do the Megapithecus. The Broodmother was a giant spider, and the Megapithecus is a giant monkey. When I got to the obelisk, I started throwing out my fairies one by one. They would of course be cryo-sick, but there's nothing I can really do about that unless I'm turning on PvE mode, but I don't want to do that, that's lame. The only thing I have to do now is wait. While I was waiting, I found this Daedon that I want to tame. Now, I don't have to heal the fairies that much after this fight, considering that they're not going to be that hurt, it's just the Gamma Monkey. But after fights like the dragon, it's very necessary to heal my fairies as much as I can.
Oh, there we go.
On day 47, it is finally time to do this. The Daedon got tamed off camera, so now it's just healing everything it can. I stupidly threw it out with cryosickness enabled, but that's not my biggest concern right now. What is my biggest concern is making it out of this fight alive.
Z Megapithecus. Stood 0 chance.
You know, we did take some sizable damage in that fight, but it's nothing that what happened to him. That's nothing that I'm gonna worry about, though. To be honest, the Megapithecus is the biggest glass cannon in the entire game. He deals a lot of damage, but has pretty much 0 health. However, the dragon that comes after this is going to be the most challenging boss fight out of the island, excluding the Overseer, but he doesn't really count. This is finally the point in the challenge where I decided I am no longer going to be using cryopods. It takes forever to ball a creature up, and then it takes even longer to throw them all out, so I'm going to get the Soul Ball mod for the quality of life. Even though I've mentioned this like several dozen times, and I proceeded to install the mod and get some crystal to craft the Soul Balls. I must say they are so much better. Look at this. So this is going to be an insane quality of life change for the rest of this video. When we get back to base, we have to do the preps for the dragon boss fight, and the dragon is the only reason why I crafted all of those veggie cakes, because it takes away a percentage of your Theory's health whenever it breathes fire on them. But for now, we don't want to worry about that, so I started to de-stress myself by decorating the base. I made sure to put the gorilla's head on my wall mount just so I could admire it for a second. Now I'm getting myself a bunch of polymer so that I can finish crafting all of the items for the soul balls. The first thing that I got was the soul terminal, which is where you can store all of your balls in. Wait, another great thing about the soul balls is when your creature is present in them, they start healing, which a cryopod doesn't do. Speaking of cryopods, I still had a few theories and cryos that I had to throw out. I also crafted a gun that looks like it shoots paintballs, but it actually stores your creatures.
I don't know what this does, man. What's this do? Okay, now we're just gonna wait until they've woken up. I'm gonna go get something to drink, probably, or do something else. Then we do the dragon. After the dragon, we have to do the tech cave. Hopefully before day 50, then we can beat Scorched at some point soon. I know this is taking way longer than intended. Half of the challenge is going towards the island right now. The other half needs to go to, like, 4 other maps. But again, it's gonna be easier. It'll be easier since I'm transferring the character, you know? I'm bringing my stuff with me, and I'm bringing some other things. Probably the Karkara, I'm not gonna lie. I'll bring him to Scorched. He'll be fine, though. And then we'll figure out that last one, who it's gonna be. Might just be the Tappy, have 2 flyers, you know? But, yeah. Once you guys wake up, we're gonna go over to the terminal.
Once the Theories woke up, I started to pod them up, and I was ready to go. I'm gonna be focusing on Scorched Earth soon, and I'm likely going to be bringing the Karkaro and my Argentavis. Like I said though, Scorched Earth is the only map that I'm transferring creatures to, because I feel like it would just ruin the point of Aberration and Extinction. Moving on, I started flying over to the Red Obelisk for the most intense fight yet. Here we are on day 48 with every single veggie cake and Theory. Now, I'm pretty confident in their abilities to kill the dragon, it's just a matter of staying alive, so I went back to base and crafted the Daedon saddle so I can get any extra amount of healing in on them. I would have to go and take the Daedon out to get some Explorer notes, but that wouldn't be too difficult.
I can't believe it.
Pretty funny time to forget that I have a park at Carcharodontosaurus. With the Thyla eliminated, we can finally go out and actually get that Explorer note.
Oops.
I then took it right over to the Red Obelisk to help heal everything it can. The Daedon's healing would be very nice, but at the same time, it is completely overshadowed by the amount of veggie cakes that my Theories will be eating in that time frame. After some more glazing of the veggie cake usage in the fight, I started to get all of the artifacts back from base. Now, we have no excuses. Let's just hope this goes well, okay?
Perfect. There he is. Oh. I'm actually scared of the ritual. Stupid. Stamina. That's bad. Oh my god, he's gonna die. Hurry up if you're gonna kill him. Yes! Oh my god! Are you guys breathing? Barely. Some of you guys are a lot more hurt than others. One of you guys just took the brunt of everything. One of you guys just took it all. We still have some veggie cakes left over, so with that, the Overseer is next. And even though I'm missing my shoes, we're ready for it. We are very ready. So, as always, take me back.
If I'm gonna be honest, this fight could not have gone any better. We suffered 0 casualties throughout everything, and we still have a solid amount of veggie cakes left over. Now we're gonna have to spend at least a day just getting more and more veggie cakes because we burned through at least half of them, but it's still not that bad. On day 49, I'm throwing out all of my Theories ready to start healing them. Now the thing is, if these guys want to go into the tech cave, they have to be healed, and I have plans for how I'm gonna do the tech cave very soon, but it requires little to no effort. For the time being though, I have to kill my original Theory for meat.
This is what happens when you leave the base.
I would actually need a lot of raw meat right now if I'm gonna start healing with the Daedon, since it requires a lot of food. Fortunately, the Karkaro is absolutely insane at getting raw meat, so it wasn't a bunch of a struggle. With all of the food in the Daedon's inventory, it is healing these guys up so fast. When everybody was full HP, I set out on my Karkaro to go and get more honey that I'm gonna need for the veggie cakes. Any little amounts that I can get now will be counting towards the boss fight, and it is going to be very important. With all of the water that we just collected, we can make a solid amount. Also, we've now gotten all of the flags, so that looks really nice alongside this dragon head. Now there isn't much left to do, because I plan to beat the island tomorrow on day 50. So I started soul balling all of my newly healed theories and mentally preparing myself. I did get some new insulating soups that will be absolutely carrying me in the boss arena because I know I'm gonna freeze or overheat to death without them. Here we are on day 50 and we have everything that we're gonna need. I made myself some mind wipe tonics and consumed them so I could get a bunch of levels into my health and fortitude. If you want specific stats, I gave myself 650 health and 72 fortitude. We're gonna save the other mind wipe tonic for when we go on to Scorched Earth. I am kind of nervous for this fight considering that I haven't done the Overseer in a very, very long time. The thing is, the boss fight itself isn't even the hardest part, the tech cave is. I decided to give my Karkaro a nice and easy start onto its stack so it deals more damage the second we go in. My plan is that I'm going to do the entire tech cave on the back of the Karkaro, leading any huge creatures into the lava if I don't want to fight them. Then, at the very end, I'm going to throw out my theories so they don't have to even have the risk of falling into the lava while I'm leading them. When I was getting the Soul Ball mod, that wasn't even in my intentions to do something like that, but then I realized just how helpful that could be. The only thing that really matters to me right now is if we can complete this fight. But let's be honest, if we can't even make it past the tech cave, we're not doing no Overseer. So it all matters as to what happens right here, right now. Let's just hope that I somehow don't mess this up. When I arrived, I got ready to throw all of my boss heads into the terminal. Once my RG was thrown out, there are no more excuses.
Gonna just walk straight. That's all. Okay, Karkaro, I thank you for your service. That's gonna be the one that we take to Scorched. Alright, boys and girls. Alright, we're doing. We're going. We're gone. Alright, guys. It's been an honor, but we gotta finish the island now. Let's go. Look, we've been in all these arenas. That's the dragon, the broodmother, and the Megapithecus. Now, gotta venture through here once again. Alright. Supply drops are coming from. Notice how they're giving us no reds. That's the island down there, though. That's the green obelisk. 18 of them are still here with us. Let's go. Alright. that's not good. What is happening? Yeah, go kill that. Oh, then did nothing. Oh, we're already on the next one. Okay, what's it gonna be? Big rock. What are these guys doing? Nice. Oh no, right behind us. Woo. Okay, they took 2 breaths there, but not all of them. We need to help them. Unless it those dismount you, by the way, so... Nice. Kill some of these guys. Okay, back at the Overseer. Kill him! Wait, he's low! Get him! I will... We did it! It was that easy. It was just that easy. Music. Well, let me tell you guys one thing for sure. On the next map we're going to, we're not gonna need none of this fur armor. Take everything but my medical brews so I can heal. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me throughout this. I know it was a painful bit, but I'm assuring you it gets better. So, without any further ado, let's hope I don't die. Well, that was pretty cool, wasn't it? Now that we've downloaded my character, it's time to actually get into this.
We need to run to Blue Obelisk. There's the implant that I got from killing the Overseer. That's pretty cool.
Well, we have finally made it to Scorched Earth. After quite a long time on the island, we can finally experience a new map. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna skim through this one as much as I can, because it was a very short bit.
That's a saber. That's 2 sabers completely blocking my path.
I wanted to go over to the Blue Obelisk as soon as I could because I need to transfer all of my stuff onto my current character. If it wasn't for this saber tooth right here, it would have been really easy to do so, but unfortunately I wanted to do things the hard way.
The Yankee needs to kill it. Actually, it doesn't matter.
While I was running away from the new battle, this Pego really wanted to be tamed, which I can respect. This map showed me just how glad I am that I'm not doing creature transfers on any other map, because Scorched Earth didn't exactly have an early game. When I made it to the obelisk, I was just about to get all of my stuff, but then this happened.
Oh, that's not good. We can make something work. We can't make anything work. It's over. Yeah, it's actually over. Unless something magical happens here. Okay, there's nothing magical that's gonna happen. Maybe. You're supposed to be a meat shield, I'm not gonna lie. Oh no! Get out of here! My stuff was so close yet so far away.
It was just a minor setback though, because I was able to make it back to all of my stuff with little to no effort. Now you guys already know I transferred the Carcaro, but I also transferred one more creature that I said I was going to mention, the Argentavis. If I'm going to be honest, these two creatures actually didn't get used as much as I thought they would in this playthrough. The Carcaro's best usage on this map actually wasn't its strength, it was its speed, because it got me to the top of this mountain where I gathered enough crystal for some soul balls. This allowed me to soul ball my Argy, and now I can run around freely on the Carcaro, killing any rock elemental in my way. Scorched is a very tiny map, so it feels like I'm progressing through this a lot faster when I have such a big creature. I then use the other Mind Wipe tonic I made on the island so that I can reset my stats back to normal. My plan right now is that I'm going to go and take the Carcaro over to the Wyvern Trench, not to actually get any eggs, but rather to load it in so that I can have no problems later when I actually want an egg. Here we are on day 52, and with the trench loaded in, we can finally set out looking for a permanent base. If I'm gonna be honest, I'm not exactly too sure where I want to build, so I might just go over to where I built on my Scorched Earth Ascended 100 days. But I knew I couldn't build out of stone or wood because I would overheat extremely quickly, so I have to build out of adobe. So for that, I need to tame myself this Doed. Now on Scorched Earth, you need sand to make clay, and Doeds are amazing at gathering sand. Without clay, you can't make any of the adobe structures, of course. The Doed is only level 5, so it's not going to take me an insane amount of time to have it tamed. I wanted a new companion as soon as I could, so I got this Jerboa tamed. It'll stay with me for quite a long time. For now, I'm going to cut back to when the Doed's tamed. Shortly after the sun came up, it was tamed, and I can now soul ball it. This means that I can finally start wandering closer to my base location. This isn't going to take me too long considering how fast this guy goes, especially with the frenzy buff. I made it over to the exact place that I wanted to build at, which means that we can start setting everything up. Once I threw out the Argy and Doed, the plan is I'm going to make myself a small thatch hut where I'm going to start putting all of the necessary crafting stations in. I got a little bit distracted when I found this low-level Anki that I wanted to tame because it would do just fine for metal gathering. While waiting for it to tame, I placed down those foundations in the middle of this rib cage, and I thought that they would serve as a natural wall, which they kind of did, but I still did something really questionable with this. For now, I still need a lot more wood. I proceeded to craft all of the walls that I needed, but I only placed them on one side, so that's why it looks so stupid. This looked a lot better in my head.
Okay, I'm gonna trust this, that we'll be okay.
And we would be okay. The thing is, I can't exactly make the Doed saddle quite yet, so I wanted to see if I enabled wandering on it, it would just destroy rocks on its own.
You hit it, I swear. Yes!
We were able to get a ton of sand, so this is a very good plus. Back at base, I made myself 3 mortar and pestles where I can make myself a ton of clay. In the background, the Anki was fully tamed, which means that we now have a great metal gatherer. And also the only berry gatherer I have now. Moving on, I made myself some refining forges so that I can compete with the rising metal grind. I'm not gonna lie, there's not much space to fit 3 refining forges in my base, but it somehow works. Just wait until I put the smithy in here, oh my god. Speaking of smithy, I need metal to craft that, so I soulballed my Anki and set out with my Argentavis to go over and get some metal nodes. Fortunately, the Anki can gather these without a saddle, so that's an absolute lifesaver. Once I got a solid amount of metal, I returned back to base to start smelting it. While it was smelting in the background, this is where I start to mention that the first few days on this map were 2 hours long each! Allow me to explain. When I transferred over to this map, I didn't change any of the settings that I had on the island. So that means that they didn't exactly like the new Scorched Earth day lengths. On the island, I had 30-minute day lengths, which meant that 3 days would take me about an hour and a half to complete. But here on Scorched Earth for 3 days, it would take me 6 motherfucking hours. On day 54, I fixed this though, so let's just continue gathering clay. I proceeded to craft the smithy and place it down in my base where I have literally no room left. The next day or two is going to be spent exclusively building. I have quite a bit of clay now, so that means I can craft a bunch of adobe foundations alongside walls. So that means I'm gonna waste 0 time getting started on building this. With the house overall being complete, I want to make a big fence around it so that nothing can get in, because this place has a tendency of spawning Thylas and Carnos that could disrupt my taming and breeding. Wow, that took me forever. Sometimes senseless building is great. I took out all of the stuff from the old thatch house and demolished it for any extra amount of resources that I can put towards this new base. Once this house is done, I plan to go over to the Wyvern Trench again and see if I can actually get an egg this time. Of course, I would need to craft the refining forges again, but I would only make about 3 for the rest of this Scorched Earth playthrough. Moving on, I move the Anki and Doed from the outside of my base to the inside and set out with my Karkaro to go over to the Wyvern Trench. I also got an extra level up, because every time I ascend on this challenge, I get an extra 5 levels. By the end of a normal 100 days, I'll always be level 105, but sometimes I could be level 106. It just depends on if I have a chibi or not. By the end of Extinction, that means I should be level 125. Well, at least if I play after I kill the King Titan, which I doubt I will be doing. Moving on, I'm here at the Wyvern Trench, and I have to kill every single one that I can, just so that when I throw my RG out in there, it's easier for me to get out. I didn't spot any crazy levels, but I did find this level 135 lightning and 145 that would do just fine if I got those eggs. For now, I'm gonna continue killing them. Sometime later, I threw out the RG and got an extra level onto my character, so I flew into the trench in hopes of actually getting an egg. Unexpectedly, there were none. Looks like I'm gonna have to come back another time. While going back to base, I decided to stop by the prime Rex spawning location. Now, the way that this place works is that when you kill a Rex in it and you leave render, there will automatically be another one that the game tries to replace the one that you killed with. So you can essentially repeat this strategy over and over to guarantee a good level Rex.
A 145 female at that. No male. Let's go back to base. Let's get a bunch of tranks. I don't know how many I need, but probably a solid amount.
Now we really need to tame this Rex. A level 145 this early in the playthrough is super good, which means that we might not have to spend too much time on here. And the thing is, on a normal Rex, the best level we can get is a 150 anyway, so this is something that we should take advantage of right now. The only berry gatherer I have access to right now is an Anki, and I don't really want to tame anything new, so I'm gonna make it a saddle so that it can start gathering. With the saddle crafted, it can gather narco berries, but it's not exactly the most efficient thing at it. It did gather me all of the berries that I needed, but it just took it a while. I also do have to wait quite a while for all of my raw meat to turn into spoiled meat. On day 54, we're just about ready to go out and tame that Rex. Wait, what am I doing? Why am I not taming the Rex? Why am I at the Wyvern Trench? Alright, never mind. Maybe I can find something here. I was able to get some semblance of egg activity, which was this fire wyvern egg. But I decided not to take it since I knew I could do better, so I found this lightning wyvern egg instead. Never mind, it's trash. One of the parents got really understandably upset at me and followed me back up and tried to kill me. My Argentavis somehow walked off an entire lightning storm to its forehead, but it was really low. Now that the lightning wyvern is dead, we can head on over to the last egg that I've spotted. As expected, it was a trash level 95. The Karcha decided that it wants to be part of the lava, so it dove right down when it was trying to follow me. My Karkaro is an absolute beast, so it was able to kill everything, but it did lose 5,000 of its own health, which is kinda insane. On the way back, I got an oil pump from this drop, which is going to be really helpful considering that there's 2 oil veins at my base. Once I got it placed down, I went in and grabbed all of the narcotics I had crafting previously and started turning them into tranks. All of my efforts are going to go into taming this Rex right here and right now. I have a pretty nice crossbow and a bunch of tranks, so it shouldn't take too long.
Tech Rex.
No! What?
You're so inferior. You're so painfully inferior.
Now here's that thing that I said earlier. And the thing is, on a normal Rex, the best level we can get is a 150 anyway, so this is something that we should take advantage of right now. But since this is a tech Rex and not a normal Rex, it has a max level of 180. The best part is I still have just over the amount of trank arrows that I need to tame this guy, so we don't have to go back to farm any. We can just start right now.
3 hours later.
I did it again. We will need a, what is this, a male? That's a female. Okay, so we're gonna need a male tech Rex of, honestly, any level at all, and I'll be happy.
All things considered, that went really well. The plan now is to keep killing these Rexes until I can finally spawn in a tech one.
Oh. Perfect. We do need some tranks, though.
Again, that took me way less time than I thought. This strategy is absolutely insane. Moving on, I was able to knock out the Rex with very little effort considering how low of a level it was.
Hello.
That was the fastest tech Rex tame I've ever had, but I can't say the same thing for the level 162 as it was just 1 feet away.
If we waited one more.
Fortunately, we didn't have to wait too long for the tech Rex to be tamed, considering that they do tame up really quickly with just raw prime meat. And let's check the stats while we're at it. Oh my god! Alright, the health isn't great, but that melee is 41 points into melee. We take that. That's good. Now we need some air conditioners so we can breed these guys. On day 55, the air conditioner grind starts because I need to start breeding these two Rexes as soon as I can. I would need to craft some cementing paste though because I can't make the fabricator without it. And the fabricator is obviously where you craft the air conditioners. The thing is, we already have pretty much every single resource required to craft the air conditioners, but we are lacking on that crystal. So I decided to take my RG out to go and get some. On the way there, I found this insane chainsaw in a red drop with a ring. Sometime later, I started approaching the mountain and wished I actually listened to my Jerboa's warnings.
Oh, joy. 1,000 crystal. Jesus. Come on, I'm trying to speedrun the map. I need some desert cloth.
In standard ARK fashion, I was hit with a sandstorm on my crystal grind. Now this did really slow my ability to get to base faster, but it did end surprisingly quickly. Now when we got back to base, we have to craft the fabricator first, but I've found that I have literally nowhere to put this thing. I proceeded to haphazardly put it on one single catwalk as half of it is about to fall off. If ARK was realistic and I was playing this challenge with one of my other YouTube friends, it would probably end really badly for them. Moving on, we do have to get more electronics, so I went out to go and kill another Tech Rex. With the electronics secured, we can craft all the air conditioners that we're going to need. I had to make sure to make myself a generator too because I can't use the air conditioners without the generator. Now the thing is, I'm going to regret placing this generator in my house because of how loud it is. I had to deal with that sound consistently for the rest of the Scorched Earth playthrough, and I'm not doing that again. Moving on, I did have to spoil a bunch of meat for narcotics since I wasn't quite done with the tranking, but the Rexes laid me my first egg in the background, which was really nice. The best part is it can incubate. I want to hatch this egg right now because I want to see if my imprinting settings are correct.
We got our Rex. These are the terrible stats because of the melee. Don't care in 8 minutes.
So I checked my settings to see if I could change anything. I found out I couldn't really do much, so I decided to take this current Rex out and see if I can get a different one. When the new one popped out, it wanted care in 40 seconds, which is way too early. But this does mean I can check earlier to see if the settings are correct.
MR Berry. Do we have any on you? That's not right.
After I put this line into my Game.INI files, I thought that it would actually work.
What? Why?
Turns out that the problem I was having was the settings weren't actually saving, even though I was clicking the save button multiple times. After a while, it did actually work, but I would still have to reset these settings again. But the new issue arose when I wasn't really getting anything from the imprinting buff, which just pissed me off more. On day 56, we were setting out to the Wyvern Trench to see if I can get any eggs this time. Sorry that I just cut straight into daytime, but the entirety of the morning was spent running here. As soon as I arrived, I noticed this level 10 Alpha Wyvern, so I knew I had to kill it.
Oop. What? I hit 2 things? What? Whatever. Did you miss? Oh, come on. Lights. No reaction. Oh, wow.
I got some pretty cool glove skins, but they don't exactly match with my ghillie suit. That's okay though, as cosmetics are not why I'm here. I feel like if I don't get an egg this time, I'm gonna be really disappointed. The first egg that I found was a mere level 15. I was chased out by the wyverns, and if my Carcara wasn't here, my RG would have died. Skipping forward a little bit, I noticed 2 more fire wyvern eggs that I knew I had to go for. The first one kind of sucked because it was only level 70, but then the next one absolutely blew my mind.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
So, that's the Karcha. Go, go, go. It's over, go. Okay, I think it's over for the RG. Oh, it's 100% over for the RG. Oh my. Alright, RG's dead, RG's gone. Oh no. The RG unfortunately did not make it, but however, it was a worthy sacrifice as we got a level 185 wyvern. When I got back to base, I realized that I'm probably gonna need a lot more air conditioners if I want to hatch the wyvern egg, or I could just use some standing torches. For now though, I did craft some air conditioners just to see if it would work as is. Spoiler, it did not. Oh, I'm sure if I had some standing torches that'll really help, right? Well, I guess we'll see. Oh, there's no way that actually worked. Oh well, I guess we'll have to wait for it to hatch now. I'm probably gonna hatch these Rex eggs as soon as the wyvern's ready. How much longer? 9 seconds, alright. I hope that we get something good. I'd be pretty disappointed if we don't. Let's see. What's it gonna be? Oh. When the wyvern got unstuck, I was able to inspect its colors and stats. You want Karen how long? Kidding me? Moving on from faulty imprinting settings, I gave my jerboa a very menacing name. I'm going to be hatching a lot of Rex eggs because I need a male with all of the good stats so that I can start breeding. I noticed that the wyvern was growing up pretty quickly, so I would have to go and change the maturation settings soon. When the Rexes popped out, my luck was pretty unfortunate as all of them were trash. Back to breeding I go, I guess. While they were finishing up, I wanted to go and get some more narco berries with my Anki. The last Rex egg was now starting to incubate, and it really matters if this is good or not. Maybe on day 57, we can finally get that Rex I've been searching for. The wyvern is almost ready for its first imprint, and I'm very excited to get it done. Somehow, the Rexes continued to suck more and more because I'm just the unluckiest person in the world, I guess. I named one of the Rexes Boss Breeder F and then actually tried to imprint on her, and it was so bad, so again I have to change it, but it wasn't saving. When I threw it out for its imprint, it was once again screwing me over. Before I fixed it though, I actually got a good Rex with all of the stats that I needed, and it was a male. So this means I don't need my original one anymore. Sorry, bud. With the Rex gone, I started to imprint on my wyvern with my new settings, and they finally worked. With my fire wyvern completely raised up, we can go out and gather any explorer notes that we may need for its leveling journey. I don't think I've ever seen this wyvern pattern before. It looks really cool. I'm not going to be giving it too many stamina points, but it definitely is going to get a ton of health and melee. I want to go out into the dunes and see if I can find a huge death worm to kill, because if I do that, I can get a ton of XP with these already insane explorer notes. Sometime later, I found one of these. Huh. Sure you burrow? Oh! Oh no! No way, that's my first one. An alpha? Oh no. An alpha death. Look at the size of that. I never even found an alpha deathworm on my dedicated Scorched Earth 100 days, nor did I get one on Ragnarok. This is insane that it's my first one. While I'm healing, I am going to be hit with a huge curveball soon. When my wyvern was full HP, it turns out that the alpha deathworm actually despawned. Now I hate doing this, but I don't want to lose an alpha deathworm, so cheating is lame. This is the last time I do anything like this in this entire video, don't worry. On day 58, I'm continuing to fly through the dunes until I find a good level mantis, because I really need to start caving soon. There is a level 10. And right here is a 145. I don't know if you need bug repellent or not. I hope you need bug repellent. When I made it back to base, I started placing down this oil rig that I got from a drop. Now, I do need to start focusing my efforts into getting more farming equipment set up because I really want this mantis. Now, the thing is, I would need some seeds for this, so I set out with my Anki to go and gather them. When I had the seeds and crop plots, I placed them down at the water next to the green obelisk. Once again, the crop growth settings that I have are absolutely saving me. So this meant I was able to get all of the veggies that I needed pretty instantly. When I got back to base, I started gathering eggs and realized that I can't actually make the bug repellent in a cooking pot. I don't know what I was thinking. With my newly crafted bug repellent, this means that I can actually tame the mantis now, and I can utilize the deathworm horns that I got from killing the alpha to tame it even faster. Yeah! Let's get out of here. Some time ago, I got an amazing mantis saddle from a drop that I've been itching to use, so this is going to be perfect. The best thing about the mantis is that you can give it some of your weapons that it can use in its arms. 323.
But the real insanity starts when I give the mantis my pickaxes.
That's so crazy.
I actually have so much faith in the abilities of this guy that I even took on a Megatherium, which is kind of insane considering that these guys deal extra damage against bugs. Overall, the Mantis is an absolute game changer that I think I should have tamed way earlier, but I'm gonna use its capabilities to the fullest as I take on my first cave. This one contains the artifact of the Destroyer, which in my opinion is the easiest one on Scorched Earth. The only challenge that I'm gonna face in these caves are the Arthropluras, because when you hit them with the tools, they start to break. Fortunately, I'm already doing some insane damage with just the spears.
Oh, you did give me a sword. Hold on. Can you have whips? How about we actually use the swords? This is a primitive sword. Unfair. Unfair. Imagine a drop in here gives me, or just in general a drop gives me a good sword.
I didn't use swords much in this whole playthrough because of how fast they break on a Mantis, but nonetheless I was aware of how insane they were. Overall, the entire cave was extremely easy to do because there was not many insane creatures aside from the rock elementals, but I was able to avoid them.
And the artifact of the Destroyer is mine. 2 more to go.
With my first artifact secured, I looted the red drop and I got 2 more Mantis saddles that I will not need. When I got back to base, I noticed this insane stack of fertilized Rex eggs. I've been collecting a lot recently because I am going to be breeding up the entire army soon, but it's going to take a lot less time than the Theries, I can assure you that, simply because of how the days are longer on here. Right before the day ended, I wanted to take out the Mantis with my pickaxes to see how much metal I can gather. On day 59, we are here at the Metal Mountain getting as much as we can. We couldn't actually get too much, all things considered, because of how little weight the Mantis has. The thing is, my Wyvern doesn't exactly have the most weight either, so it was kinda hard to get back to base. 600 metal is not enough for me, so I'm gonna do a proper run really soon. So what I decided to do is get another Wyvern egg at a decent level, raise it up, and give it only levels in weight and nothing else. This would get me a fast flyer that I can take my Anki out to metal runs with. So when I found this level 95, I said that was more than good enough. Now when we return back to base, we have to hatch this thing alongside some Rexes just to be safe. I want these tech Rexes to be done everything as soon as possible, just so I don't have to waste time. For now though, I'm waiting until the Wyvern is ready. I decided to take the Mantis out while I wait because I need a lot of fiber. When I made it back to base, this is what I was greeted with.
So let's see what this one's gonna look like. It doesn't matter at all, but you know. Okay, just your standard Wyvern.
After it was hatched, I decided to go out and get some purple flowers for the silk since I needed some new desert cloth. When it was crafted, I'd say I look pretty good. The thing is, it's also a little bit better than my ghillie, although the difference isn't too crazy. The next order of business that I wanted to do was hatch every single tech Rex egg that I have. The more that I have now, the better, because I want to have this army done as soon as I can. Once they're grown up, I want to have them leveled up as soon as I can, since I'm not trying to stay too long on Scorched Earth. The Rexes were starting to finish hatching, which means that I can go ahead and implement them into the army. Sometime later, they were hatched and ready to go, but I do need to wait for their imprints. Speaking of imprints, I got the Gatherer Wyvern all of the imprinting that it's going to need so that it can get a lot of weight. Here we are on day 60, and the plan is I am going to be imprinting on the Rexes and getting some more artifacts. I wanted to get a Daedon as well, because that could help me heal the Rexes when they're ready to go. All I would need are some clubs.
Just like that. Boom, boom, boom. That's so crazy.
It was at this point that I realized I can
even
literally
need-
knock out anything I want, no matter what the level is. A Mantis is just crazy overpowered with any tool you give it. So when I was jumped by this level 145 Daedon, I was extremely happy to see this.
Oh my god.
So we can knock out absolutely anything we want with ease now, which is great. As soon as this guy's tamed, I'm gonna go back to base, imprint on the Rexes, and then do a cave.
Shouldn't take crazy long to tame, like, I think. Doesn't really matter too much. If it does or doesn't, I don't really care.
After the Daedon was tamed, I returned back to base to go over and check on the Rexes. If I'm gonna be honest, with the Rexes now imprinted, I want to focus entirely on caving and getting these guys healed. So I'm sorry if the days seemed rushed now, but I can assure you they're not. I just really did the same thing for multiple days. So I took out my Wyvern and went out to go into the nearest cave. I didn't take Caldera out this time, but rather my Gatherer Wyvern for some reason. I might as well get some levels onto it, I guess. Now, I don't want to take too long in this cave because it is fairly simple. The cave literally took me 2 minutes to complete because of how fast I can get through it with the Mantis, and nothing in here stood a chance. So just like that, the artifact of the crag was mine. We're not quite done though, as I still have one more artifact to go until we're done every single one on the map. When I was flying back, I noticed a red drop that I wanted to get, so I decided to fly over. In true ARK fashion, it was glitched, so I had to ghost mode to see if I could get in, but of course I couldn't, and I accidentally dropped my Jerboa, Utyrannus. Some ants did just kill my Jerboa, and I am very upset. So to combat my sadness, I decided to go and do the last cave. The first thing that I noticed when I got into the cave is the absolute lack of creatures. And that's actually why I got through it so fast, because I didn't have to fight anything. A short while later, the artifact of the gatekeeper was mine. It's about time for us to get out of here and go back to base to finally finish raising all of the Rexes, which I'm gonna try and simplify as fast as I can. But first, I have to fly back to base. The Rexes are now all fully grown, so I want to breed them together so I can get a ton of eggs that I can put towards helping them level up. If I was going to breed them though, it wouldn't be inside of the base because they take up way too much space. On day 61, I found a new friend. When it was tamed, I named him Allosaurus. Now, we've got a bunch of fertilized Rex eggs that need to be put to good use. But before I do that, I wanted to go over to this red drop because I might get some good loot. I didn't really get anything crazy, but I did get a wind turbine and 2 more canteens. I realized that now I have to start leveling my Rexes because I want to be off of this map in about 3 days. I would have to get a lot of Rex saddles too, but I'm going to do a huge metal run soon to make that happen. For now, they're just going to be sharing one saddle as they slaughter all of the babies. I should also mention that one of my Rexes is a mutated gold color. I don't know, I thought that would be really cool to say. Now we have to level these guys up to 35,000 health and whoa, what is that melee? I need to change that. With the new balance stats, all of my creatures are now dealing a little bit less damage and lost a few thousand health, but I think that's just fair. We're just gonna continue getting levels on the Rexes because of how many eggs we have right now. It's just gonna be no struggle to keep them going. We also have a lot hatching, but not only that, just look at my inventory. The amount of Rexes that we're gonna be removing is crazy. The grind continues on day 62 as we have a little bit more Rexes to go through. On average, they have 30,000 health and just under 1,000 melee. I decided to put my Gatherer Wyvern to good use and take it out for its first metal run. And probably last metal run if I'm gonna be honest. This is gonna get me more than enough that I need. I'm gonna be honest, the Argentavis and Quetzal are still much better flyers to do this with. Moving on, I got back to base and sorted all of the metal in my forges. Now, I want to take the Mantis out to go and tame myself a Utyrannus. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care about the level of it, I just kind of want one. So when I found a level 95 on the side of this mountain, I said that was more than good enough. It will be pretty easy to get this guy tamed, but it's gonna take some patience considering it can Furor me.
That's not good.
Now, I was able to knock it out relatively easy, but just imagine I had better clubs. That would completely revolutionize this. Oh my god. It would take some time for the Yudi to be completely tame, but it's nothing that I can't wait for. Speaking of which, I'm probably just gonna go and feed it right now. While we wait, I'm sorry for not showing much of the Rex leveling process, but it literally took me less than a day to do, so it's just something that I couldn't really cram into a montage, although on Aberration, you will be seeing some good ones. In the meantime, while we wait, I'm gonna go and hide in this cave.
Nice.
Unfortunately, taking this guy home is about as interesting as day 62 gets. On day 63, ARK turned into a horror game because of the lightning storm that was happening.
This isn't scary at all.
It was way too dark to do anything at base, so I had to light one of the standing torches I had left. The Rex saddles are going pretty well, but we are missing a lot of silica pearls for the Utyrannus saddle, so I've got to go out and find some. I luckily had an Ascendant Whip in my smithy that I got from a drop, so it's gonna really help me out right now. Speaking of drops, I got another oil pump from this red one. Luckily enough for me, the riverbank that the drop spawned in is also the most abundant silica pearl location on the map, so I was able to get a ton. When I got back to base, I have to craft the Yudi saddle and finish getting the Rexes.
Oh, it's over. I tried to gamma down because I thought it was too bright, but it's just over.
With the storm being done, I'm gonna go out and gather a ton of fiber that I need to make the Rex saddles because the metal is almost done smelting. While I was crafting the saddles, I realized that the only thing I have to do now is just heal these guys up, alongside having to level up the Yudi, of course. While waiting for the eggs to hatch, I started to saddle up the Rexes with everything I got.
7 more.
I had every single piece of hide and fiber, but the metal was just being slow. Not to mention, I had an absolute disaster trying to take out the Rexes with the Yudi because of how weak it is.
Why is the Yudi so weak?
It took me a while to actually corral all the Rexes, so I got all of the levels. I was able to level it up after some time, which is very lucky. I spent so much time just sitting at my forges waiting for any ounce of metal to be smelted because it all counted right now. I might as well mention that I got an Ascendant chainsaw from a drop, but I never used it, so it's just sitting in my smithy. The second last thing to do now is saddle up all of the Rexes I can.
Honestly, I could probably not even heal these guys, and they would be fine in the fight.
I wouldn't do that though, because I still want to be safe. With all of them saddled, all we have to do is heal them up with a Daedon. It does seem like it was having quite a bit of trouble healing them though.
I thought the Fiomia was good at it. Like, are you okay? Well, thanks.
Everyone here has to make sacrifices. And those sacrifices are about to come into play right now, as I have to start taking these Rexes over to the green obelisk to start the fight. The only thing I have to mention about the Manticore fight is that it's a little bit annoying since it does take reduced damage. If it didn't, this fight would be over in like 20 seconds.
Why are you still so low?
Well, the fight won't exactly get easier if I have such hurt Rexes in the fight, so I've got to heal them up again. It'll take me a second, but we are starting this fight on day 64. Here we are on day 64, and we have no time to waste.
It was lovely knowing you. I hope to see you again soon. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like they ruined it again. The ants killed my goddamn Jerboa before, and now look at what they're doing.
Matter of fact, that's not enough. Oh, and there's
Like,
thank you for your service. No more time wasted. Here is the Manticore. Wait, what? Oh my god. The Gamma Manticore. Alright, this shouldn't be too bad. There it is. I don't know what this would do. Okay, I understand that this might not be the most pleasing footage to look at. I'll try and follow it so you guys get some action shots. Oh my god. How much longer? Oh, here. Oh, it's over for you. That's it. What? Oh, come on. Kill her. Oh my god. Boss Rex won. It was lovely knowing you guys. Well, just like that, this Manticore is dead. So what does this leave me to do? Well, now we gotta go on to one of the harder maps. There's only 2 left, actually, so, you know. Maybe it's not that bad, but Aberration is next. That is going to be a threat of a map to take down. But I think I can do it. I have a few strategies in mind. Say goodbye to the creature transfers. It's just me now. And let's hope that we have a good start. Oh, please don't spawn me next to 7 Reapers. If I'm gonna be honest, this is the bit I was looking forward to the most. I cannot express how much I've been looking forward to this moment right here, right now. I'm just glad we actually made it to Aberration, as it is my favorite map by far. Not only is it more expansive than the Island and Scorched Earth, but it's also just so much more fun to play through. The ambience on this map is just something else. Moving on, we actually should get started here, so let's tame a bulldog. This little guy is going to be called Chonker. He's going to be with me for a pretty long time. As you can likely tell from the atmosphere and this Chernobyl version of a pit bull on my shoulder, we are not in a normal ARK.
And just you wait, because it gets even worse as time goes on. You might have noticed the abundance of mushrooms everywhere, but that's not just for trees, but rather for new types of mushrooms that you can eat. There's a lot to do on Aberration, alongside new day and night cycles, so sometimes days will be a lot shorter. Right now the play is I'm going to jump to this little island until I can get enough metal and resources to situate myself to get my items back from an obelisk terminal, because I can't just get them from a supply drop here, since there's none, unless you go to the surface, but we don't talk about that yet. With this island's vast amount of resources, we will be able to sit here for quite a while and be okay, unless we step into the tweaker shrooms.
Oh, I'm tweaking. Oh, I'm tweaking. By the 9, I'm tweaking. Oh, I forgot about that.
After that traumatic experience, I decided to go for a run to find a charge station, because I thought I could actually transfer my stuff from there, even though you can't. When I found one, I was quickly distracted by an Equus that I wanted to tame, but then shortly realized that this is going to take way too long.
Maybe I shouldn't be worrying about this right now.
This is where I realized that the charging stations are actually useless. But what wouldn't be useless is this iguanodon that I was eyeing up, but I didn't actually tame it for whatever reason. Right now, I was just running across the riverbank looking for any stones I could pick up, because I hate finding any semblance of pickupable stones on Scorched and Ab.
Yes, the greatest resource that I didn't even know was so hard to get.
You probably didn't even expect me to make another stone pickaxe in this entire video, because you'd think that I would just be starting with that metal one that I got on the island, but no, right now we have to grind up all of the resources to get a hazmat suit so we can go down to the obelisk to actually get all of my original items. But that's if we can run back to base.
Spino, don't do it. They're pretty chill. Spinos are pretty chill. Alright, Karkinos are not exactly chill. We survived that. Come on. Oh my god!
The fact that I haven't died for this long should be some kind of new personal best for me. As you may or may not have noticed, I already have a spyglass, which is due to the fact that there's a lot of crystal on this map. Moving on, I crafted myself some cloth armor alongside a bow, bolas, and some stone arrows. Just thought I'd mention that that haircut I got on the island is actually looking pretty good. At this point, I needed a lot of hides, so when I found this Equus on my island, I knew I was absolutely blessed. I'm so sorry, little one. Next up, I needed some wood for the refining forges that I want to put in my base. Oh, never mind, I'm overdosing. Moving on, I crafted the forges and then started to place them down on a little thatched platform. These forges would be the start of the smithy grind. Of course, if these forges want to have any use to me, I need to get some metal, so I started hitting the river rocks instead of the big metal nodes because they're more efficient with a stone pickaxe. While waiting to craft the smithy, I went out to go and get some hide from the nearby Leicester stores and even some chitin from the nearby trilobites. Once the metal was done smelting, I crafted the smithy, so now I can make a lot of new tools and ranged weapons. On day 6... What do you mean, no? Like, what's wrong with day 67?
The god!
Swiftly moving on from that, I crafted myself some chitin armor instead of hide, because I usually go from cloth to hide, but I feel like this is a lot better. Since I can't get my good crossbows for a while, I started to craft 2 primitive ones. Now what I'm gonna do is make some narcotics in the mortar and pestle so that I can get some trank arrows. But the ultimate goal is to get this gas collector. The gas collector will allow me to get congealed gas balls, which can be used to make the hazmat suit. For now, what I want to worry about is getting the metal hatchet so that I can get a bunch of stone to turn into cementing paste. With the paste and metal being crafted right now, I just need some red gems and I can make the collector. For now though, I'm gonna go and get some wood so that I can fuel the forges. To get the red gems, however, I would need to go and camp by a roll rat.
Hello everybody, my name is Multiplier.
I was quickly distracted when I found this gas vein and a cool looking moss.
Never mind, it just got slaughtered by some ravagers.
I risked it all to get this congealed gas ball from the gas vein when it started erupting. The next course of action is going to be taming this Carno that I spotted, because I feel like it'd be a great first tame. I couldn't be any more right because this thing was so glitched that it wouldn't even fight back or come after me, so it was the easiest knockout I've ever had.
What? Don't tell me you're drowning, that's just gonna be insult. It's not.
Okay. I still don't know how that happened, but moving on, I started to shoot at the Spino for any hopes of prime meat.
No way. You just annihilated a Spino like that.
The good news is that this single Spino funded the entire Carno saddle. While the Carno is starving down, I can wait for this roll rat to burrow so I can get the red gems. This is exactly why I was saying these guys are so important. After finding out that I'm not lucky right now, I decided to kill a scorpion for chitin. I noticed that the Carno was hungry enough to eat, so I fed it the prime.
Oh, lovely.
This thing is absolutely going to be a great tame, but it is really loud. I'll showcase the footsteps after I get a saddle.
On day 68, we're continuing to wait for this roll rat to give me some red gems. Or not, because I guess we have no patience. When I got back to base, I finalized crafting the saddle, which means that we can finally have our first mount, but I do have to heal it. Now the Carno is pretty strong and will have a nice amount of melee, but its health sucks. Something that also sucks is its sound design. Every time I run, just imagine that I have to listen to that, and it absolutely drowns out my mic, so I don't really have many game voice versions of me talking when I have the Carno. What is this? That would be a sick base location. So it looks like I just found where I'm going to be building in this video. That entire place is only accessible by zipline or by Ravager, so I'm going to be really safe from any other creature, and I can have a nice and secure cliffside base. I'm going to spend some time getting all of the resources that I need for the building supplies that I'm going to be putting in the base. I didn't record it, but I did make myself a fabricator. Now next up, I've made the refining forges and every other single piece of crafting stations I would need. I then went AFK for literally 20 minutes, don't even ask me. I then took the Carno out to go over closer to the base. Now I am going to search for a Ravager really soon because that's my best bet at getting over there, although I could just make a zipline motor. Before I move into the new base though, I do want to have that gas collector completely crafted. That's just everything we need right there. Lovely gas collector. This gas collector is going to passively produce me all of the congealed gas balls that I need for the entire hazmat suit, although I still need a lot of crystal and blue gems to finalize it. In the evening, I started to run around on the higher parts of Aberration when I remembered that the glider suit is a thing, and I realized just how much it can carry me. On day 69, I was roaming through the aberrant wastelands looking down on all of the creatures below me. I spent a stupidly long time outside of my base searching for any sort of Ravagers because I really need them. As soon as I found this single pack of them, I started to go for the highest level, but they were kind of merged with a bunch of raptors, which terrified me. Well, I hit the raptor, perfect. Woo! Okay. They dismounted me. For some reason, only aberrant raptors can dismount you off of your mount, and you'll see it happen pretty soon. In the meantime, I'm getting clapped by this pack of Ravagers. I'm just trying to isolate the leader from the rest of them so that it doesn't have a mate boost and they don't tear me to shreds. When the highest level was separated, I was able to bola it and start tranking it, which was easier said than done because of how much this thing actually tanked. I didn't expect it to take this many trank arrows. Oh, what a shot. With the Ravager now taming in the background, we have to wait until it's starved down enough. Oh, okay. It's just tamed, alright. This single Ravager is going to be a very important creature in my progression system on Aberration. When I got back to base, I crafted it the saddle, and I must say it's looking really good. A little doggy. See, it's even licking his paws. A very ugly doggy. This doggy is also a very low level, all things considered, because I only found it at a level 95 in the wild, so it looks like I'm gonna have to level it up a bit. Not only does it look cool, it also functions really well as you can climb these natural vines in and around the place. Not only that, you can place your own zip lines and they can climb up there too, which is super cool. After I found an explorer note, I decided I'm only gonna level up the weight and movement speed. On day 70, the sun was already coming up because it was a 90% day. I'll mention how that works later, but for now, I'm gonna throw all of the resources into my newly leveled Ravager, because right now my only priority is moving over to my new base. The good news is that I've already prepped all of the foundations, so we don't have to waste a lot of time getting resources. Like I've mentioned before, this place is only accessible via the vines outside, or unless you get a rock drake. Moving on, I got myself all of the stone foundations placed and started placing the railings. We don't need anything crazy here, just as long as we have all of the crafting stations we need, we're good. Fortunately, I also crafted up a bunch of gasoline to throw into the fabricator, so we don't have to waste time doing that either. While I'm throwing scrap metal into the forges, I want to explain how the day-night system works here. Sometimes there's going to be 50-50 day and nights, which is just your standard ARK day, but sometimes there's going to be a lot shorter nights and longer days, and vice versa. It usually changes every 3 in-game days. Moving on, I really want to get these blue gems right here for the hazmat suit. Ooh, do not step in any of those. Bruh. Despite me saying that I shouldn't get close to them, I proceeded to do so anyway, and now I'm infected with the most dangerous spores in the game. The only way for me to heal myself is by getting some aquatic mushrooms, but the only nearby mushroom patch was some hallucinogenic ones, so now I'm tweaking from both aspects. This is just your standard ARK experience, but fortunately I was healed. Oh my god. Alright. Moving on, I actually went into the blue zone this time to gather a little bit of blue gems. For those who aren't aware, there are 3 zones to Aberration: the green fertile area, the bioluminescent blue, and the red radiant zone. Of course, I'm in the bioluminescent blue area right now, which has an abundance of aberrant creatures such as this iguanodon. Oop. Okay. I might as well tame it because I actually don't have any berry gatherers.
It will take me a little bit to tame it, but it's not going to be anything too insane. Now, I would have to fight off some Ravagers that tried to attack it, but it's nothing that I couldn't deal with. And even when the Iguanodon was tamed, I tried to have it kill it. Kill it, Iguanodon. I thought the Iguanodon was about to die, so I didn't want to risk it. We got a little bit of blue gems, and I want to put them towards a hazmat suit, but I will be requiring some polymer to do that, so I set out on my Carno to kill this Carcanos. The only thing that I'm missing right now are those congealed gas balls that my gas collector has been collecting, so let's go check. Turns out it made quite a bit, as I got 151 congealed balls. So this means I can finally make the hazmat suit this early in the challenge. With the hazmat suit crafted, I made a zipline motor and glider to go along with it. So this is what it looks like without them, and this is what it looks like with. The glider is extremely useful, but it does take away my chest piece durability when I use it. But however, I have plans to avoid this soon. Paired with ziplines, the motor is extremely useful, and also I can get to base without a Ravager now, so that's nice. With this hazmat suit, that means I can go down into the red zone, and that's also where an obelisk is, so I can get my stuff. I can't physically describe how deep the red zone goes, so how about I just show you? There, did you see how deep it is now? Reaching the obelisk, there were only a few rock drakes I had to take care of. It's nothing too insane, and I will be getting my own rock drakes pretty soon. Moving on, I was able to get all of my stuff, so this means that we are going to be a little bit more upgraded in terms of tools and crossbows. It's going to be a little bit more tedious now because I have to run all the way up to the green zone with a Carno. Oh no. On day 71, the long trip back to my house started. If I'm gonna be honest, the least favorite thing I have to do in Aberration is run from the red zone to the green. Only because it takes absolutely forever to do so on foot. But don't worry, once I get a rock drake, it gets so much easier. Until then though, I'm pretty much gonna be spending the entirety of every day I spend here running back. After a while, we managed to make it back to the blue zone, so I'm kind of safe. In comparison to all of the things in the red zone, there's not much here that can hurt me. What? Holy shit. No way. Oh my god. I am not ashamed to say that that made me jump. On day 72, I want to get back to base. Since I was arriving from a lower location, I had to make myself a new zipline anchor so that I could get up easier. This is exactly why I love the motor. Since I brought literally all of my things from Scorched Earth, I also got the Manticore tributes, so here we are with the flag. I decided to finally make the Iguanodon saddle so that I can gather a lot of narco berries and acerbic mushrooms, which are essentially just narco berries on crack. So when we got all of the ones that we needed, we started crafting a ton of narcotics. I want to tame myself a Spino with these trank arrows soon, but if I find anything else that's really good, I may tame that as well. Shockingly, for the first time in this playthrough, I finally found a max level Spino. Okay. First max level anything I think I found in this challenge that I want to tame. You just gotta love to see it. But now I have to find a place where I can tame this guy without being completely mauled to death. I decided that initially I'm gonna try and tame this thing without a trap and just run around it. This would soon turn out to be a mistake. Even though my Ravager can actually outrun the Spino, the problem is that it hits really hard. Eventually, I was able to find a spot where the Spino can't hit me, but I could trank it. This would allow it to go into its Topar running mode, so all I had to do was chase it down. Please excuse that it's literally already nighttime, but it's one of those 90% nights again. Alright, Nick, Gamma 5, I'm sorry if this looks horrible. I don't know what to do, if it's drowning or not. Are you drowning? It's not drowning! My luck would be short-lived, however. So... No! You f***ing asshole! The taming effectiveness just went from 100% and plus 75 levels to 61% and plus 46 levels. I cannot let this stand. So it looks like I'm gonna have to wait for the Spino to wake up and I have to knock it out again on day 73. Here we are on day 73 and the wait starts now. As soon as it was woken up, I wasted no time getting right back into it. Now the only issue is that this guy's really fast right out of the water, so it's gonna be a little bit annoying to trank it out. I'm not gonna make the same mistake by knocking it out next to some water this time. Yeah! The great news is that it's already starved down from last time, and the taming effectiveness is reset, so we can tame it without any problems instantly. That was very worth it. Oh my god. Never mind. Its health was rather mid, but that's not gonna matter much because I'm not even making an army out of these guys. I just want a really strong Spino so that I can go back down into the red zone to get myself some rock drake eggs, and eventually this will be used to get myself a reaper as well. I was able to effortlessly make the saddle for this Spino because I had a lot of silica pearls left over from every single endeavor I've had so far, including the fact that they drop from earthquakes. I just have to mention how cool the Spino looks. Check this out. I'd say the Spino is extremely pretty. The purple sail with the red body just goes so well together. Unlike on the island, I actually use the Spino here, so that's pretty good. I'd like to show you guys the best way to level up on Aberration, and that's just running through this river and slapping every fish and creature that goes through here. This strat got me 10,000 health and 800% melee on my Spino, which I think is pretty balanced. The worst part about this is having to heal it up, but at the same time it's not that bad because of these plants that are here. They speed up all of the healing on your creatures, and they're just such a godsend. On day 74, we were finishing up said healing. On the way back to base, I managed to get some more congealed gas balls from the collector, which is also nice. Next up, I started breaking a lot of green gem nodes. Not for the gems themselves, but rather for the crystal inside. I use these materials to make myself another hazmat chest piece, which would be the one that I have the glider suit. Remember how I said that when you have the glider suit on a chest piece, it kind of breaks it? Well, with this strategy, I will have one chest piece that I'll be constantly wearing, and one for when I want to be using the glider suit. So now that we have all of those items and the Spino Soulballed, you already know what I'm gonna do.
I'll be fine.
I'll spare you from the music this time, because, like, you know, there's not really much of a point. You've already seen what happens down. The drop down was still pretty cinematic, it's just a matter of me not wanting to show the exact same thing I already did. I would have to be a little bit more tactical this time though, because I can't just land anywhere, since the rock drakes will maul me. Ouch. Turns out, landing at the top of the skeleton was just fine. Down here, my Spino will dominate every single rock drake, and it's not even gonna be close. Well, unless they gang up on me, then it's gonna be pretty close. For now, I'm not gonna worry about them jumping me. I need to worry about me getting a good level egg. Sometime later, I managed to run up to this nest. Ooh, 145. Okay. Love to see it. My first egg was a level 145, which I'd say is pretty good, but now I have to fight off against all of these guys. My hazmat suit is still doing really nicely, so I'm gonna see if I can get some more eggs. Maybe there's something better than a 145. My second one wasn't too great because it was just a level 85. But maybe that'll have greater purposes in the future. After fighting off against a few more, I started to get towards these nests, and I wanted to go up from the top to the bottom, and if there's something good in here, I'll know. Alright. Theme started. Oh, what a clutch. Did you see that? Whoa, okay, 155. We did not get a 170. I don't think these are 170s, but if they are, I'll be back for them. Do we have it on? Okay, good. Jump right now. Three eggs. Considering that this was my first run, I'd say that's really good. Now guess what I gotta do? I gotta run all the way back up to the green zone on foot again. But you know what, maybe I'll get some more interesting things on the way there, as I did bring some plant species seeds with me. For reference, those are used to tame some pretty high quality light pets. If I'm gonna be honest, the red zone is really terrifying, but at the same time kind of beautiful. On day 75, I found a really pretty featherlight that I couldn't resist. I don't exactly need this guy over my Bulbdog, but I thought it would be a cool upgrade. Don't worry, all of my light pets will be safe throughout this playthrough, for now. While running around with the Spino, I went over to the blue zone because I really want to get myself some Dimetrodons. They would help incubate the rock drake eggs because of their sails. Don't even ask me how that works, but I think it's a cool mechanic, and it could help me save on some air conditioners. It didn't really do that, but you know what, it's fine. Dimetrodons are kind of annoying to find because they always blend in with the rocks around them, so it's going to be something that I struggle with getting. Oh, nice. Level 10, love to see it. I'm just going to let him knock out. If you want to do it in the water, that's fine too. Okay, oh. So this thing was swimming underwater. I don't think it has oxygen, right? Nice. Let's go get the 110. That should really help out.
Ever since I found out these guys can incubate eggs, they've been my favorite thing. That thing just needs to knock out. There's some priorities here I have to deal with. That was so easy, because it kept pushing back. Have I lost the Dimetrodon?
On day 76, even though I lost the old Dimetrodon, I managed to find some new ones.
No, not. Oh, Shinehorn.
Luckily for me, there were actually multiple Dimetrodons all next to each other, so I was kind of able to get a bunch all together. With 3 Dimetrodons knocked out, this should be enough for me.
Ah, oh, god damn it.
Okay, make that 2 Dimetrodons, but that's okay. Now that we've arrived back to base, I want to make sure that we can try and incubate these rock drake eggs as soon as possible. I made the questionable decision to make myself a 1x1 stone box that I would throw all of the Dimetrodons into, but this obviously wouldn't help the incubating process much. Getting more and more Dimetrodons would help me a little bit, but at the same time, the only thing that I really need right now are air conditioners, and I would soon realize this. To make sure that the Dimetrodons are going to be okay, I made myself a feeding trough. Since I don't learn from my mistakes, I made myself a bigger stone box. So I don't even have to tell you that this didn't work, right? On day 77, the sun came up really quickly because it was one of those short nights. The Dimetrodons were now fully raised, but that wouldn't distract from the fact that I actually do need air conditioner still, so I decided to go out on my Ravager to go and get some metal. Ravagers are insane because they can haul a lot of resources with their huge weight, and they have the weight of everything in their inventories. I then made 4 new refining forges to put in my base because 3 is not enough. But unfortunately, I only had space for 3, so rest in peace to the 4th one. For now though, I'm gonna worry about smelting all of this metal that I got. While that's happening in the background, I'm gonna go out on my Spino and Ravager to go and collect a lot of green gems and crystal. On the way back, I had to kill this tech parasaur because they drop electronics, and you never know when you're actually gonna need them. The parasaur also gave me an alternative to regular metal called scrap metal, and it's just a lot better to use. Moving on, I made myself a generator, cable, and outlet so that I can power my base. Can't forget that I also made 1 air conditioner, but that wouldn't really do me much on its own. Now my base is really dark, so I decided to get some lamps too, because this would help a lot. Now that I've set up power in my base, it is extremely bright, and I will take that over having to gamma up every time. On day 78, I made myself another air conditioner, but this wouldn't do much because apparently you need like 20 to incubate one of these eggs. I didn't want to stay at base for the whole time while the metal was smelting, so I took out my Carno and went over to the easiest cave that contains the artifact of the depths. I want you to keep in mind the whole time that this is the easiest cave on the map, but yet somehow I still struggled a lot at times, but hopefully the Carno will do me some good justice. If I'm gonna be honest, I thought the Carno was gonna do more damage because the second I got in, I was doing little to no damage to these guys, and I was getting mercilessly violated by every single creature here. I would have to heal my Carno a little bit before I proceeded to go further in the cave, but when I did, I started shooting at any creatures to avoid any combat I could. I switched over to the Ravager because of how mobile it is, and I hoped that this would be much better than the Carno. After some more slapping away at the nearby scorpions, I managed to make it to the artifact. So do you remember how I said that aberrant raptors can pounce on you? Hey, help! Help! What are you doing? Oh my god. I show no mercy to aberrant raptors. Yeah, I was pretty disappointed that my Carno didn't help me out there, but I guess it was on passive. After leaving the cave, I got some more gas balls from the collector and returned back to base. We got 400 total ingots while I was away, so that means I can craft a sizable amount of air conditioners. I know it looks cursed, but if it works, it works. What? It's incubating. What do you mean? As long as it's incubating, I don't really care if everything here looks like an absolute amalgamation. Oh my god, look at that night going by. That's kind of scary. On day 79, we're waiting for these eggs to be fully hatched, because as soon as I can get these rock drakes, the sooner my game completely changes. I repaired both of my crossbows as soon as I could, and then got right back to waiting.
Alright, let's see. Hold on. That is a super pretty one. 2 females, so no breeding going on, unfortunately.
The lower level turned out to be the prettiest one with the nicest colors, but the higher level, of course, had the best stats out of both of them, so I'm going to be using that one. I took out my Spino and equipped my glider suit to go over to the blue zone for some nameless venom. Tell me this doesn't look sick. When you don't have a light pet enabled in the blue zone, these nameless creatures start spawning out of the ground, and if you have enough of them, they'll even spawn a Reaper, but I'm not gonna wait for that to happen. The point is that these guys drop nameless venom, which can be used to feed your rock drakes. Speaking of drakes, I made up the saddle for them. Moving on, I was getting a little bit hungry, so I started harvesting a lot of mushrooms with my iguanodon. I made myself a ton of narcotics as well, because you never know when you're actually gonna need them. My main focus now are these rock drakes, so I imprinted on them as soon as I could.
Awesome. And you want to cuddle?
I spent the entire day just waiting for these guys to be raised up fully, but I wasn't even done by the end of it. On day 80, I was a proud father. They grow up so fast.
Yeah, there you go.
I've missed using these guys so much, and I finally have my first gliding creature, and also only gliding creature on this map. But unless I was on Ascended, I would be able to use the Yiling. Moving on, I've really missed using these guys. Just check out their speed.
But don't pretend like I completely forgot how to use these guys. These are one of my favorite creatures, by far.
In my opinion, rock drakes are just better wyverns in every sort of sense, except for damage. I gave the drake about 10,000 health and 1,000 stamina, but I would have to heal this first. If I'm gonna be honest, I didn't exactly use the other rock drake nearly as much as I did for this one. I was supposed to have different uses for both of them, but it turns out most of the uses just went into this one. I made my way over to the river to level her up as much as I could before I could actually go out and do something important with her. Fortunately, I did find one of those plants to help you heal, so it didn't take me too long. One of the next big adventures I have going with the rock drake is going over to the surface. Essentially, during the day, the surface is consistently on fire, but during the nighttime, it's safe to go up there and loot all of the supply drops, and that's actually the only place where good drops spawn on Aberration. For now, the only thing I want to do is head over to the red zone to see if I can find myself a Reaper. Now, Reapers are one of those really interesting tames that I'll tell you more about in the future, but you really just need a Reaper Queen to do it. That's a good thing and a bad thing, because you can find a lot of Reapers and Spinos, but you will also find a lot of things that you're not looking forward to, like Perlovias. Fortunately, rock drakes have a unique detection system for when there's a Reaper nearby. Its head feathers will go up. I'm doing my very best to not make dirty jokes right now.
Oh my god. 50, I thought that said 150.
Unfortunately, the first queen that we found is pretty bad. I decided that the first thing that I want to do to make sure that I'm not going to get spotted by anything is press C. Once again, another amazing rock drake feature. The reason that I hate the red zone is that you never know when there's a huge drop coming up, such as this one. I just hate it. The expansiveness of Aberration absolutely terrifies me at times. Moving on, when I got back to base, I wanted to craft myself some behemoth stone dinosaur gateways along with some normal ones to make a Reaper trap. This would take me a while, but I can assure you it is very worth it. On day 81, I returned back from getting more stuff for the Reaper trap. To be fair, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to get a Reaper because I'm not exactly lucky when it comes to finding good levels. For now though, I'm not gonna worry about getting the Reapers. Instead, I'm gonna go to the surface as I mentioned previously, since it is one of those longer nights. I also equipped these cool little glove skins that I got from getting every single explorer node around here. Gotta say, it looks great. My favorite surface entrance that I usually go to is the one at the Fertile Lake, and that's the one that you're going to be seeing me go to every single time. If you wondered what the surface looks like during the daytime, there you go. Gotta say, it's not the friendliest looking place. For now, I'm gonna wait until nighttime, and then I'm gonna go up to get any amount of drops I can. A good bit later, the sun started to get covered up, which means that I can go out. My main strategy is sitting up here while waiting for all of the drops to land. Usually this wouldn't be too difficult, but there's a lot of Reaper Kings up here that can actually annihilate you in just a few seconds. Since I haven't had any good drops, this red one is going to do just fine. When it landed, this is when my plan goes into action, so I'm going to throw myself into that area and immediately grab the drop without getting hit by any Reapers, which is easier said than done.
Oh. I don't want a blueprint.
Okay, the drop could have been a little bit better. Now, I spouted a good idea that I thought would go a lot better. So usually when you leave the game, all of the drops reset. And this goes for any map. As soon as you leave the game, all of the current drops despawn, and then when you rejoin, they should start to respawn. Now this seems like a good idea because it's still nighttime, so it's not like the sun is gonna come out the second that I leave. So I did just that. Oh, that's not good at all. Guys, I'd like to say, I didn't know. The only thing that I can do, is just get the paintball gun. No! Wait, that's stupid. That is dumb, though. I love how I was getting scorched while being cold. So yeah, I just died and lost the Featherlight, but fortunately, I was able to get the Rock Drake, even though it was below half health. That just shows how crazy the sunlight up there is. Moving on, it's a great day to have the Gravestone mod. You probably forgot I had this, too. So it looks like we're getting right back into equipping Chonker. Fortunately, I already had all of the resources that I needed to fix all of my hazmat. On day 82, I wanted to have a change of pace and actually go after the Reapers that I made a trap for. I'm gonna make a little platform for the Reaper to stand in, and then I'm gonna trap it with a behemoth dinosaur gateway behind it. I'm building on the outskirts of the red zone, so it's not quite radiated out here. But the plan is that I'm going to be throwing the Reaper into this trap, and then I will show you guys how you're supposed to tame it. But for now, I actually need to get the first level I find.
Hello, mistress. Whoa, okay, instantly going into the trap, but okay. Okay, there's so much going on right now. We found a 140, but we're also getting chased by like everything at once.
Despite the fact that we got a really good level, we still have to take out a bunch of random creatures that were chasing me, such as these rock drakes.
Alright. Let's go.
After some trouble, I was able to close the gate on the Reaper, finally trapping it. So the first step into taming your own Reaper is by getting it below 5% of its own health. This is where the Spino comes in. I'll cut back to after I've slapped this thing into oblivion. Oh, yes! Now that the Reaper has a pink glow around it, that means I can approach it and try and tame it. I would need a shield to protect me a little bit, so I decided to craft a wooden one. This wouldn't really do much, but you'll see soon.
I'm not sure how well this is gonna go. Yeah.
Oh my god! Just as the second step into the taming process was about to initiate, it got glitched and then kicked me off, so it looks like I'm gonna have to try that again. On day 83, we're still trying to make this work.
Oh. See, yeah, exactly. It's gonna work this time, I promise. This is gonna hurt.
However, this would just be a minor setback, because I actually spawned in with the baby still inside of me. Yes, you heard that correctly. I am pregnant. Last time this happened, I had a bit of an audience.
Your child, he's beautiful.
I'm not sure if my new Reaper is going to be just as beautiful as my last son, but hopefully. In other words, I killed this Spino for any extra XP that the Reaper is going to pop out with. There's nothing too insane that happened in between the waits, so I'm just going to cut to when this thing's ready.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh!
Oh, it's orange! Level 250. Oh, you're so pretty.
You gotta love how on Aberration, the most dangerous map out of every single one I've done so far, is the same map that I've died the least on. So this little gremlin is gonna take a while to be completely raised, but as soon as it is, it's gonna be an absolute powerhouse. When it evolved into its next stage, it turned out to be a lot more passive. In the meantime, I'm gonna wait for this guy to get raised up, but I'm also gonna go and get another one. The original Reaper Queen is still here, so it's just gonna be pretty easy. What? What? No! Okay, maybe it wasn't in the trap anymore, but I was able to get it stuck again. This time, I brought a metal shield with me, so it's not gonna break immediately upon one hit.
Oh my god. Sorry, it's the last time, I swear. Thank you.
No, Chonker! I bet that's not how you expected Chonker to go out. My day one, gone just like that. On day 84, it's time for me to get my new Reaper some extra XP. Once again, I'm just gonna wait until this guy's ready to pop out.
Oh no. Give me another orange one. Same level, of course. You are worse on the health, better in melee.
Trust me, after I get an imprint on these guys, their health doesn't even matter.
Look at this thing. What? Like, oh my god. Nobody can tell me that this thing is cute, by the way. This is not cute at all.
When it evolved, I took it outside to go and take its first steps. You might be asking yourself, how is the older one doing? Very well. The youngest would be called Zephyr, and the oldest would be called Tangerine. I think that's pretty fair. While I was waiting for Zephyr's imprint, I went out to go and kill a Diplo for any raw meat I could get. Now, they would be fine for now, but I would have to get some more for Zephyr in the future. Yes, this is one of those rare moments where you're actually gonna see me calling my creatures by their names instead of just what they are. This is the moment that my brain turned completely smooth. What did I not record? I didn't record the entire... It's not all of it. I gave it some levels. It's not even leveled that much, the thing is, but it's insane. 41,000 health, 464 melee. This is Tangerine, by the way, of course. I swear I thought I was recording. Bro, it's the end of the day! Oh my god. I'm sorry. I really thought I was recording throughout the entirety of the last little bit of day 84. I'm really sorry. I wanted to show that leveling journey a lot more. But don't worry, there's still plenty of opportunities where you're gonna get to see me use Tangerine. I was trying to show you this. We're so fast in this guy. Just take a look at the footsteps. Yeah, my point is it's fast, alright? When I got back to base, I imprinted on Zephyr. There you go. Melee's better, but health is worse, so kind of a trade-off. The next step that I want to do is go into the red zone and do the artifact of the Stalker. This cave is relatively easy, but it would be a lot harder if I didn't have a rock drake. You'll see soon. It didn't take me too long to find the entrance, but when I did, I started to run right in. This cave has way too many creatures for any person to deal with, so what I did is went invisible mode on my drake and started climbing on the walls, avoiding absolutely everybody. So when I made it over to the artifact room, I wasn't spotted by a single creature. Except for these seekers when I started biting them, but that's obviously different. I found a featherlight in here that I decided to tame with the plant species Z-Seed because I miss my old one. However, the next cave will not be this easy, unfortunately. Overall though, I think that went pretty well. On day 86, we've arrived back to base with the artifact. What I wanted to do now is see if I can get myself a Megalosaurus, because an army of them would go absolutely insane in the final boss fight. It's just a matter of getting a good one. I only found bad ones for a little bit, but then this happened. Another Megalo somewhere down there that is just not moving, and I don't know why. These guys are some tweakers, dude. Whoa! Alright, let's see if we can tame this thing while on the side of a rock. I didn't really like this angle, but at the same time, as long as it worked, I was pretty happy with it. Oh! The next Megalo that I found that was the opposite gender would have to do just fine, because I really don't care to get another one. I'll just breed out the good stats again, just like I did with the Theres on the island. Bonk. Oh. I realized you guys probably wouldn't want to see me knock that thing out sideways. Moving on, I went back to the 145 and finished feeding it. With the first Megalo tame, these are all of the stats that we're gonna need, so it doesn't matter what the level 10 comes out with, of course, because we're just gonna even the stats out and then get rid of it. It didn't take me too long to get both Megalos completely tamed, though. I made the questionable decision to just run back to base on these vines, which is kind of weird, but at the same time you gotta respect it. On day 87, we were getting closer and closer to base. I made sure to go over to the river to exert revenge on every single manta that I saw, and also just for some XP. With us coming back to base, I want to start breeding the Megalos until I get something decent out of them, because right now, I am on a huge time crunch. And to be really point blank, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it to Extinction in this playthrough. But you know what, as long as you've enjoyed the journey, I'm happy. To keep up with that time crunch, I'm gonna start summarizing the days a little bit more, so I crafted myself a scuba set for the next upcoming cave. The entirety of day 88 revolved around me getting a boss breeder that is a male with both of the good stats. You know what's funny is that every single creature before this had all of the good stats, but they were all female. So it looks like I'm gonna have to take care of the original bad level, and Zephyr is going to enjoy this. Thanks for your service. Don't worry, I made sure that the female Megalos were put to very good use too. This would now be the start and foundation of the Megalosaurus boss army, and also the Reapers will be included in it, don't worry, they're not doing nothing. On day 89, we're gonna be doing more of the same, but we just have to wait for the boss Megalo to be completely raised. It will take me a while though, considering that my maturation settings aren't exactly the highest, but that's probably fine for the balancing. For the next few days, I'm just gonna be chilling at base getting as many Megalos as I can, and I'm not even gonna worry about the cave that I have to do, this is just so much more important to me. On day 90, I told you we're going to be moving through this stuff faster. I started breeding the Megalos I have without any hesitation, so we have a strong start onto the army. This proceeded to take me around the entire day to do. This unfortunately led into day 91 as well, because it was about the same there too. I still managed to do some pretty important things, such as gathering a lot of crystal, crafting a lot of cementing paste, and smelting some new metal because I want to get myself a chemistry bench, because you never know if you're actually going to have to shotgun Rockwell to death in that fight. But I can't exactly shotgun him without a shotgun now, can I? So I plan to go to the surface tomorrow. A good surface run where I don't burn to death because of a stupid glitch would be amazing. On day 92, I decided that I want to go to the surface because if I can get a shotgun, then I could do Rockwell by myself without having to raise up any of these Megalos. I'm also at the point where I'm realizing that I have no time to raise these guys, so they're probably just going to sit at base for the rest of their lives. It is a 90% night, so I may have a chance to get some good stuff here, but at the same time, I feel like I am risking it still. That is something that I am willing to do though, because if I can get any semblance of a good shotgun, Rockwell can die, because I'm trying to get that chemistry bench crafted in the next few days, and I already have a lot of charcoal left over. Remember, more charcoal means more gunpowder. Right now, the only things that I want to do is wait here until I get a decent drop of any sorts, and I'm gonna cut back to if I get one. Spoiler, I didn't see a semblance of a shotgun, but I did get some nice flak armor that would be really useful in the fight. On day 93, we're doing about the same, just waiting for more drops to land. Unfortunately, it was looking pretty hot, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything more. So I fled the area, and now I'm going to come back when the night is back again.
3 hours later.
As soon as the sun set, it was time for me to go back up. Once again, if I get anything good, I will make sure to let you guys know immediately. Once again, I didn't get anything resembling a shotgun in the slightest, but I did get some good armor and a lot of pistols for some reason. On day 94, it was about the same, but I did get a yellow drop right before I left, which could be really good.
Are we serious? Ramshackle Triceratops saddle.
Aberration is making me feel emotions I didn't even know existed, such as pure hatred. Now when I got back to base, I made sure to craft the chemistry bench because all of the metal I needed was now smelted. I have to place it down somewhere in my base, but I had no room in my immediate area, so I had to put it on top of my Reaper birthing area, which is kind of funny. If I get that shotgun, this chemistry bench is going to be the most important thing in this progression. It's pretty obvious I can't do Extinction in this playthrough, but I will be trying to destroy Rockwell. The thing is that I'm not bringing the Megalosaurs for a reason, and that reason is that I don't have saddles for them and they don't have enough time to get completely leveled. So the only creatures I'm bringing in there is going to be my Rock Drake, the Spino, and both of the Reapers. For now, what I'm going to worry about is getting all that gunpowder crafted, and that is a lot. While that's crafting in the background, I have to trust that Tangerine is going to carry that fight. I'm sure Zephyr will do good too. For now, I want to worry about one of the last things I have to do on this map, the final artifact. Usually, I would tame a Baryonyx and risk it all in this cave, but now I feel like I should do something different to make it a little bit easier. So on day 95, when I arrived at the cave, I'm gonna do it on my Rock Drake, once again, just like the last time. If I stay invisible the entire time, then I shouldn't have any problems with the creatures. But however, if I was to bring literally any other creature here, I would die immediately. So let's just hope this goes well.
Invisible mode is saving my ass. What'd I say? It's over. Stop. Move.
That last little bit shaved several years off of my life. I can't believe I got dismounted by that jellyfish and I didn't take a single bit of damage from anything around me. The Rock Drake tanked everything. On day 96, I hope that my luck continues for the next few days. I have a ton of gunpowder that I'm ready to put towards shotgun bullets, but I don't even have the shotgun yet, so I'm probably going to have to do another surface run soon. Unfortunately, the thing is, there's not going to be another 90% night until day 101. I'm confident in my abilities to destroy Rockwell as long as I have that shotgun. It has to be above 250% and then I can do it. If I could get the shotgun on day 101 from a good drop, then everything could change. But that's exactly what I want to do. On day 101, the second that it turns nighttime, I am going to go up to the surface. If I can get any decent shotgun, then the fight could actually be possible to finish in this challenge. But if I don't get anything on day 101, I'm going to end the challenge right there. To be fair, I haven't even seen one red drop in this entire challenge, so I doubt that I can get one right when I need it the most. On day 97, I tried to go out again by going for a 50-50 night. Of course, I got absolutely nothing from the drops. And just as I was about to settle in to go ahead and do things, it turned into a 90% day. So I have absolutely no chance of getting any sort of drops during this time, but however, if I do wait until day 101 and get really lucky, there is a chance. On day 98, I tried to get more and more charcoal that I could put towards shotgun bullets. At this point, I was just crafting this gunpowder because I felt as if I had no choice. With all of the gunpowder crafted and all of the metal smelted, that means the only thing that we can do is wait until day 101. Either way, I wasn't able to beat the entire challenge because of course Extinction is not possible to beat in this time frame. In the span of one single video, I was riding on moss chops, then I started riding on wyverns, and now there's giant xenomorphs standing behind me. No matter what happens on day 101, this is the most fun I've ever had in making a video. Just going through every map and getting to re-experience them meant a lot. Let's hope day 101 will have a fruitful outcome, but even if it doesn't, I'm happy with what we've done so far. And I will not have beaten every ARK. Well, technically... Go right now. Stop it. Oh my fuck! I can't wake anyone up. I cannot wake anybody up right now. Out of sheer luck, I managed to get a 321% shotgun from my first red drop on the surface on my last second that I could spend on there. Now, I have to go back to base and get all of the shotgun shells that I need. Just a quick warning, my supply drop loot quality is 1.5, so it's a little bit higher than usual, which is why I got something so insane. Call me out all you want, I'm just as shocked as you are. So the last order of business is now turning all of this gunpowder into simple shotgun bullets. And it's gonna be a lot. Well, if you count a lot as 200, then, you know. As soon as I piled up all of my armor, this is the war fit I'm going to be going into the fight with. Earlier, I left both of my Reapers and my Spino at one of those heal plants, so now they're all full HP. Moving on, I managed to get all of the shotgun bullets and all of the artifacts back from my base, so now it's time to actually set out towards the terminal. It's kind of crazy that this is the last time that I will ever be diving down into the red zone. Thank God I hate it here. As soon as I arrived, I threw out both of my Reapers and my Spino to help combat against the nearby rock drakes. With the drakes now dead, it's time to go into the fight. No matter what happens, I'm glad we made it this far.
Have you come here to challenge me? I'm afraid you've made a fatal error in judgment, survivor. You find yourself in the presence of certain local savant. Look at me. I've been converted fertile and mundane. You may genuflect or prostrate yourself at this juncture. I advise against feeling hope just yet. It's been ages since I've seen one of you. Our half-mechanical overseers called us survivors. Did you know that? They reached back to pluck us from the pages of history and then plopped us into their crucibles for their infernal tests. That is quite rude. Remain where you are and I will return momentarily.
Oh, okay, bye-bye.
Are you getting it yet? Did I not mention I know liberty's unfair? And I have made a number of solutions. I can still come.
Guys, I was a little tired while saying all that, so let me redo it in voiceover form. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, leave me a like and subscribe. It means so much that you like the content as much as I do. Velgaro's up next, and I don't want you to miss it. I'll see you guys not soon enough.